I'm running out of time. I'm running on a feeling song. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time.
And now, it's all on the same. The play heroic. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the moment you've all been waiting for, of course, the playoffs of none other than the best league in the world. It's Oceanic Nationals presented by Samsung. And of course, we've got 2 full days of action ahead of us. A gauntlet to run, and I will not be doing so myself. I have 2 wonderful analysts. Well, I have an analyst and Dev Mata with me. Dev, welcome to the broadcast, and then I'll introduce our wonderful guest and analyst that we have.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Look, really keen to get stuck into this one. Should be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm just as excited as you are for this new face we're seeing on the broadcast.
Well, I guess we may as well introduce him. If you're not familiar, he's got a jaw like none other. He is sharp like none other. It is Molosca from none other than Wildcard. Mate, welcome in. It's good to have you, of course. Unfortunately, not making the playoffs is always a bit of a shame, but we get to see your pretty face. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, how did you feel like your season went overall? Because, you know, we've kind of spoken to Vinny a little bit here and there, but we haven't been able to speak to you.
Me and Vinny on the same team and doing the analyst work together again. But yeah, look, I'm new to this and I'm just here to just pop on and say what needs to be said.
Well, I'm hoping you can give the honesty that me and Dev can't, because really, I don't have the brains for it, and I think Dev is too nice sometimes. So I'm glad that you'll be the middleman between us. But Dev, as we have a look at the standings from the season, why don't you run us through it and kind of talk about what we saw in Stage 2?
Yeah, of course. Well, Stage 2 has panned out to be, I guess, kind of Stage 1 on steroids, if you will. Team Bliss have really cranked it up. We saw, I guess, a taste of what they were capable of in Stage 1, but Stage 2, they took it to that next level, locked in the #1 spot far and away, just ahead of the crowd. Like, look at that, 17 points, 3 points ahead of their next competitors. And you know, they were undefeated all the way up until that final playday. 6 games in a row they were able to win until eventually losing to Chiefs in that final playday, which of course put Chiefs into that position where they found themselves in Stage 1, just 2nd place from the regular stage with a shot at making it to that grand final.
And Milo, as you have a look at that, is there anything that kind of stands out? I mean, like, obviously you guys in 6th place probably stands out, but, you know, are there any kind of results? You know, Dev's touched on Team Bliss. Is there anything that, as a player, you look at and kind of question?
Well, one thing that I will say is Bliss finally lost a game. They actually were defeated in one way or another. Yeah. So, yeah, hooray the rest of the squadrons in the actual OCN League. We finally beat the actual Titans themselves. Yeah. But yeah, there's nothing really much else to say about it. I mean, it kind of all settles in how it basically expected from the start. With Rhythm, you know, didn't really do too well. We gave him a point. Yeah. That was a very fun match. But yeah, look.
Very generous of you, Milo.
No, the way it is yeah, like these teams that have come into OCN have really showed the South APAC Australian teams just like what they're worth, and yeah, you know, it's been a very fun league.
Yeah, no, it's been tightly contested and close the whole way through. Now, let's have a look at the bracket that we have for you this weekend. It is, of course, 4 matches back to back, of course. We will be seeing round 1, round 2 today, and then, of course, the final 2 tomorrow to determine our overall stage champion, which last stage, Dev, was the Chiefs.
That's it, and they find themselves in exactly the same position once again. 2nd place from the regular stage. and now straight into that round 3, they'll have to take down whoever comes to meet them through the gauntlet and then see if they can give it a crack at Bliss in the final. They're the only team to beat Bliss in Stage 2 so far, and Chiefs also did this exact run in Stage 1, but it was Knights in that first place. I feel like that's kind of the elephant in the room here, right? Like, Knights in Stage 1, they were at the very top of the standings, seeded directly into that grand final, which they ended up losing, and now they've just only scraped in, and they're going to have to run the whole gauntlet.
They certainly will, and let's have a look at the predictions of how the quote-unquote experts think that this is going to go. I feel like we're not really a good indication, are we, Dev? I mean, I guess in OCN we've had a better look, but Molosca, because you don't actually have your predictions up here, do you want to give us a quick little shout-out as to what you think's going to happen?
So, first game, Knights versus Ruffle. Now, that one's going to be tricky because I know Ruffle can really bring it to Knights, but I just really hope that Knights show up to Knights and don't play like they did against Order the other day, and that would kind of show us a bit more of a realistic match. And if that's the case, then I'm expecting a 2-0 from Knights, to be honest.
Yep.
And then from then, it's just going to be like a matter of fatigue. I think if Ruffle end up beating Knights, then I reckon Ruffle can really take advantage of the fact that they're going to be warm and ready to gun. I know those guys play the game a lot, so if there's any team that's going to have the stamina, it would be that one. And any further than that, like, I've got to hope that Bliss and Chiefs are warmed up before these matches come next. But yeah, I'm really expecting a 2-0 from Knights, and then whether Order can show up tonight, I'm expecting a close match regardless.
Yep, some absolute gunners on Ruffle, and they've shown it to us 2 seasons in a row. In fact, I think them coming in, Dev, you could probably attest to what they've kind of been able to produce over the past 2 stages. They really have quite, I wouldn't say shocked us by any means, but they've certainly proved many of our earlier predictions wrong.
Yeah, it's funny. I was one of the guys that was just always kind of betting against Bliss in Stage 2. I kept being like, they're not going to make it flawless. Surely not. They're going to have to slip up at some point, and I think it's funny that the final play there where they actually did lose a game was the one where I did pick them in the end. So I guess I just kind of cursed myself there. But yeah, look, Bliss has really been showing up. I know there's been a lot of a conversation about how it's been such a significant difference in their practice routine between Stage 1 and Stage 2. Obviously, the other obvious elephant in the room is that they picked up Jigsaw, who's been the MVP so far for that team. But also, they've a renewed motivation. They've really been going hard at the practice, and they can also spend all of their focus on OCN, whereas these APAC South teams like Chiefs, Knights, Order, Wildcard, they're kind of having to split their prep. In a way, double as much work. Like, if you're trying to counter-strat your APAC South game, you're also trying to counter-strat for your OCN game, and it's really challenging. So I think, massive applaud to Bliss, who have really been able to take advantage of that.
Well, let's have a look at the first lineup that we're going to be seeing, or the first matchup, I should say, because this is where we need to put our attention for now. As we start to get an overview of Ruffle taking on Knights, Milo's already put the preface in that Knights, if they show up like they did against Order, this should be, a free chance for Ruffle to kind of take charge here. But the Knights that we know are a very scary roster. So let's go and have a look at them and discuss a little bit deeper what we could expect. Now, Milo, I'll come to you first and get some, maybe some player knowledge on this. In terms of the players on this roster, is it scary coming up against them?
Oh, it most certainly would be. That's for certain. I know for a fact that I've seen Sagen in a few Twitch streams, so I know that he's doing the research. I know that Juicy's an excellent hard support. Yeah. Joss and Juicy, the 2 SLG brothers from back in the day. I know that for a fact. I know Dano hits it hard, and so does Hayward. So I don't know, these guys are going to be, they're worrying. I'd be worried, honestly, against them.
Yeah, Dev, we've seen Knights kind of come to full form in Stage 1 in APAC South. Even in OCN, we still felt like they kind of slipped up a bit, and certainly Stage 2 they have, there is no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ein's obviously playing in those parallel leagues, and Stage 1 of OCN was good for them, even though we did kind of think that they underwhelmed a little bit. They ended up seeding straight into that grand final from a great performance in the regular stage. But yeah, like you said, APAC South has been phenomenal for them. They have actually qualified first place out of APAC South straight to that Mexico Major, which is obviously where a lot of their focus is right now. But I mean, they can still farm in OCN while preparing for Mexico. Look, these guys are undoubtedly, one of, if not the best team out of OCE, and at the moment, the highest performing team at a global level. And so it's very exciting to see what they can do here. They can't get complacent when it comes to these local matches, otherwise they will get eliminated out of the tournament.
We've been lucky enough to have Dino shave for us on the final playoffs here for Stage 2. He does look like a babyface, and of course the Don, Dean, Juicy is unfortunately just left his stream. So we'll go ahead and talk about Roffle now, because this roster really has been just, I would say overall, a bit of a scary one to come up against. I would love to hear your thoughts on Roffle, Milo, because they, for all intents and purposes, are absolute gunners.
Yeah, most certainly. They absolutely play the game. I don't think there's a team in ANZ that play it. Probably I would say Bliss arguably play as much of the game as they do. Like, you spot them in ranked, you spot them in casual, you spot them everywhere. Like, they're just always on the game and they always play well. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to, I would say, like, overall, like, kind of aggressive synergy, these guys should be something to worry about. Like, they just work off each other. They're best mates.
Yeah. It's a scary prospect coming up against mates. Dev, what are we expecting with Roflcopter coming into playoffs?
It's very hard to know what to expect because they kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like, they played a little bit of LPL Pro last year, which is basically equivalent to Challenger League. Then they managed to get promoted through the promo relegations. They knocked out Rhythm to earn their spot here in OCN. And in Stage 1, we were kind of blown away with their performance. Like, we didn't expect Roflcopter to be so strong. They ended up even upsetting Order in the playoffs and managed to come third overall in Stage 1. Now, they're going to have to run that gauntlet again should they seek to be getting it even further than last time. And look, I do think they're capable. They started a little slow at the start of Stage 2. I think that loss against LFO is the real red flag that we talked about, because LFO was not really a competitor in Stage 1. Even in Stage 2, they weren't quite strong compared to kind of the rest of the pack. But Roflcopter losing to them, I think, is the biggest red flag we've had. That said, they've had great performances outside. They managed to beat Chiefs, for example. So I think that we know Roflcopter has a very high ceiling, and it's just about whether we get to see that.
Well, we could today, that's for sure. We are going to head to the veto system and have a look, Dev, where we're going to be going. I'll let you kind of speak to this first, because I know for a fact you have your stats and all of your points up for this one. And then we'll go to Milo and get his thoughts on this. So, Dev, take us away.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I'm sorry to bring this up, Milo, but Coastline pick for Roflcopter, that is a map that they are really, really good at. They 7-2'd wildcard to get their spot here. Unfortunately, Milo, maybe you can speak a little bit to how good Roflcopter are on that map.
We got absolutely murked, man. Like, by one guy, one man, one army.
16 frags, I think OJ managed to get.
Yeah, I remember that one a lot. That was a barn burner.
Keeps you up at night. Dev, then we go to Consulate. What are we expecting there?
Let me get my notes up for Consulate. So, look, Knights did beat Roflcopter on this map during the Stage 2 regular season, so that is a really good result for them. However, this is also where Knights lost to Bliss, which I think was probably their biggest loss of the season, because that was them, losing to the eventual top seed. So while we do have good results from Knights on this map, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I definitely would back them in going into this, especially since they do have that head-to-head result on Roflcopter on this map.
Now, final map being Chalet. Milo, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. We haven't seen a hell of a lot of Chalet in OCN. In fact, I think we've only seen it once, if at all. I'm trying to think back, but I'll have a look at the stats and make sure that I do get that right. We have only seen it once. Is there a reason why we're just not seeing Chalet?
Many teams probably just either hiding it or haven't bothered to strat it.
Yeah.
I've seen it played a lot by Knights from memory last season.
I think they played it twice.
Yeah, they played it twice. I'm pretty sure they lost against Chiefs, and that was the final game. Yeah, and they beat Chiefs in the first game. So there's that.
Good memory, man. You have a very good memory. I have your notes up here, and you're spot on.
Yeah, that would be it. Yeah. Look, it's going to be a game of, from my memory, it's just going to be a game of who can lurk and take map control and work off it.
Yeah.
I know that Knights did it pretty well, and I know that Chiefs did it well last time. It's just a matter of who shows up, I think.
All right, well, gentlemen, before we go to the casters, I want final, very quick predictions. Dev, for the series, not the map. Are we thinking Knights or are we thinking Roffle?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Roffle. I reckon it's going to be trading, they're going to win their own map picks, then we'll go to Chalet, and I reckon Roffle will probably just edge ahead.
And Milo, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking the same, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if it works out, if it's not a 2-0, that's how it's going to work out.
Jeez. Well, I kind of hope that it's not because I got my money on PK. Not actual money. Don't gamble or gamble responsibly. But anyway, let's get into the matchup. We're going to throw it over to two blokes that, I don't know, talk about games and stuff. It's Guz and Xenox.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a gamble when Manic is the host. You never know what you're going to get, Guz. But fortunately, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, big game here. Knights, Roffle. Kind of feels like which Knights is going to show up is going to dictate this match.
I'm glad you're wearing black. I'm wearing black as well. Prepared for the funeral I think that we're going to see this afternoon. The Knights, they're going to die, I think. Roffle are going to take this win. I'm convinced that they can bring the heat, especially if it goes to that third map. Chalet is going to favor Roffle. So I'm backing probably some of the predictions on the desk and going 2-1 Roffle.
Wow. I'm going to say Knights, to be honest. I think that they're going to be able to show up here and flex their muscles. It's Knights versus Roflcopter to start the Stage 2 gauntlet here for OCN. Winner moves forward, loser goes home, unless you're Knights, in which case they could be going to Mexico.
Yeah, we don't know, in fact, if they're going or not yet. Haven't got 100% confirmation, so fingers crossed that they are. But of course, all focus here on this matchup, the first in the gauntlet. Both of these teams, if they want to be victorious in Stage 2, will need to win 4 best of 3 matches over the next 2 days. So potential big marathon ahead for both of these squads. Flores taken off the board first here by Roffle, denying some of that utility clearance. I doubt we'll see the Thatcher double down here, as it is coastline, and there we go, line. In fact, taken off the board, removing some of that crowd control ability for the attack.
Can I just say as well, Dino should never shave again. It does not suit him. He needs to keep the beard. The beard was glorious.
I agree with that.
You have to agree with me on that one. I know it's hard to agree with me, but in this case,
it is hard.
You have to. Mira's going to be banned out by the Knights. I very much expect Valkyrie to be banned. If not, then we're going to be seeing a lot of IQ and Valk.
Yeah, Valkyrie, as you can see on the graphic down below, the most banned defender over here on coastline in OCN. And there we go. Followed up once again by Roffle, so kindly following what we have come to expect here on this map. Nothing standing out necessarily as being too groundbreaking here.
Well, probably the Flores is the only one that I'm a little bit, not confused by, Guz, but one that's maybe not as common. We saw actually, I think it was Nomad, the most banned, actually. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Well, I guess with Nomad now available, that could, if it's going to hinder one team more than the other, I would lean more into that being detrimental to Roffle. We know that they love to play super aggressive. We saw that against Wildcard, where they won to actually secure their position here in the gauntlet. So if there's one team that's really going to suffer from Nomad being available, it's probably going to be Roffle. That said, the Knights actually not bringing it here for this Hooker attack.
Yeah, interesting. I guess it's maybe sometimes the kind of...
Nope, okay.
Sometimes the kind of operator that might get used after the first couple of rounds, just to sense sort of the play style of the way that the game is sort of flowing and playing out. And this is going to be a long one as well, right? This is a best of 3. We're finished with the best of 1s, and this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to be quite slow, but something that's not quite slow is the Samsung NVMe SSDs. Now, they are exceptionally fast. You can go check out their latest range simply by typing !SSD in Twitch chat. They've been an amazing partner, and we're so glad to have had them on board.
Every play day you step up that throw. I've got to say, I'm thoroughly impressed at your skill there, Xenox. And yeah, that's clearly why you are the best host in OC Esports, better than that Rob J. Monday bloke. Still a bit of a tier 3 host in my humble opinion.
I can taste his salt from here.
Yeah, I could hear his salt as well in my ears, which was very, very nice. He's saying some things that are not stream friendly, so unfortunately I can't echo them. Quick look, of course, there at the community vote. The Knights favoured in this matchup, despite the casters not having much faith in their ability here.
Yeah, I think realistically, right, and being completely honest, especially after what we saw against Order, what was it, like a week ago or whatever, you do have to question the Knights' validity coming into this sort of playoff format. Yes, they got Mexico ahead of them, but it just comes down to how they want to play this. And judging by their operator lineup, they are coming in here to play pretty standard Siege. They might not give it their like 110% Guz, but as long as they give 90% or even 100%, I still think they're good enough to be able to take down Roffle without also maybe giving too much away. Their raw fragging power is still nutty. Can't discount that as Sage gets the opening pick onto Campo.
Yeah, it's fair to say that Knights when they play at their best, when they're feeling their best, are the best team of the two here. That's why they're in APAC South. That's why they're heading to Mexico. They're a very strong roster, but it is going to depend on if they're awake here in this matchup and how much they want to show, considering that, you know, obviously they're not going to show too much with that upcoming LAN event. Good start though for the Knights. They get the first pick. Nitro Cell down below doesn't quite hit the mark there from Hot Shot as the Knights attempt to take control of Master and VIP. Pretty defensive from Roffle, backing towards the site. It's really only Bouncing now, back down below as Hot Shot takes above.
Yeah, and just under a minute and a half remaining in the round, but this is fine for the Knights because they've already got that opening pick, so they can basically just get to work. The main thing is, of course, still clearing out a few of these roamers, bouncing in office. But ultimately, I think Knights are pretty well set up here. They have taken a slight beating, although in fairness, Bouncing and Boydie also have taken a bit of damage as well. So, well, it hasn't felt like a round that has had much. I mean, both teams have kind of been getting to work here and defending and attacking, and it very much feels like Knights are ready to go in here for a default plant through Aqua.
Prepping the execute, smokes out. Candela's probably to follow here as the nades also flying out from Hayward, who finds a pick, a two-man advantage for the Knights as they can go bang. Yeah,
and Dino can now get in and get this default plant down. This is going to make it very difficult for Roflcopter if he can stick it, and he very much should be able to. Juicy, nice pick up on the hot shot. Hayward covering from behind. They get the plant down, and more than that, they've picked up the kills along the way. 4 versus 1, Bouncing low health, and yeah, very much no chance at all. Might be able to pad his stats, and that's about it. Pulls out the pistol, but that's not going to work either, and Knights will take the opening round.
Dino able to just hold down the line there with the LMG in towards that luggage angle. A free kill for him to complete that round for the Knights. Strong work early round, finding 2 picks, the 5-3 advantage for a hookah plant. Always going to be extremely, extremely favourable. Difficult for the Ruffle squad to get back into that round. Now, I don't know the stats exactly for this map, but I'd be inclined to believe that Coastline is probably defender-sided, like we have seen across most major regions, and a lot of that at the moment is down to the fact that the defense plays ultra-aggressive, denying map control, but on that occasion, the Knights did a good job getting in early and finding those kills.
Yeah, good that you brought that up. I mean, we've only seen it 3 times in OCN, if we want those statistics. Of course, this is OCN. That's where it matters the most. 57% defensive win rate, which is actually very high. The only thing that's got a higher defensive win rate is Oregon. Cafe tied, and to be fair, Cafe's been played a few more times, so you've got more references there. But yeah, ultimately, it does kind of go in line with what you were saying there, Guz, and that means it's a good start here for the Knights. And yeah, I think maybe still deep down subconsciously, we still look at Coastline as attacking favored map just because of the way that it plays out. But as you said, and the way that the meta has shifted, defenders are having more success.
On the topic of defense, we're going to see Roffle rotate over towards Sunrise and Blue Bar, so underneath where they previously defended inside of Hookah. Now with OJ on the pulse, I'm expecting them to probably be quite aggressive over towards this kitchen side of the map. OJ, of course, can gain intel as to where those attackers exactly are. Do they try and clear above? Are they going to go for an office take, etc.? I mean, early indications would suggest that the Knights are going to go for the top-down clear, and that's perfect for OJ, who can sit down below and call out that to the rest of his team.
Yeah, and it's so imperative as well for the Knights to be getting these opening picks. And we saw it play out in that last round. You get that opening pick. It just kind of stalls out the defenders. They're not able to be as aggressive. They go kind of into that defensive turtle mode, and that makes it very difficult then for themselves to be aggressive on Coastline like we see in the meta. But for now, on a 5v5, that's where you expect and hope that Roffle can be aggressive, look for opening picks, make it difficult for the Knights to get involved. And that's why the Knights are just happy to take it slow right now. See if they can create these sight lines. And maybe try and find a pick. OJ just gets lit up a little bit there by Josh, who is getting a bit of help as well by that ping.
OJ, no doubt, going to eventually die in this position, you would think. So it's up to him to continue to waste time, maybe find a pick on the trade. Now, Campo is over towards the lobby, so he might be able to get aggressive on Josh if the Jackal isn't careful, but you're right, the Knights taking their time. You don't need a whole lot to go for an execute here on Coastline, so they're trying to use it efficiently, but OJ hits the Nitro Cell there onto Hayward. It is, of course, eventually traded there, but good work from OJ to waste half the round.
Yeah, and how much time and presence did they put into taking down OJ? Fortunately, Dino gets one onto Hotshot. Now, Campo will still hold this main lobby position knowing that there's a Knights player actually outside there, which is Josh. But there's 1 minute and 10 seconds left now in the round. And now that the Knights have got this man advantage, this is when you would, I guess, expect them to now head towards site.
Minute on the board as Roffle look to consolidate their positions on the objective. 2 on site, not sure where Boydie is positioned, but he'll need to rotate back on the ASAP as Juicy and Dino find entries. And now Boydie isolated over towards blue, does find 1 on the entry, but he needs to find 3 more.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, he could. Dino has to go for the plan. If he's going to make a play, maybe now's the time. But Sage is watching vigorously. And what a start here for the Knights. They are just seriously coming in and fragging out more than anything. Finding these picks early on in rounds, and they're playing quite methodical. They're not throwing their lives away. They're not just rushing in, rushing onto site. Like, they will wait a good minute to get that kill. And when they get that kill, they'll get a second, and suddenly they've got a pretty decent advantage heading late into the round. And that's the difference right now as they have a 2-0 start.
And look, of all the maps in the pool, of the 7 that are available, Coastline is a map that, in their current position and within the context of their global competition at the moment, the Knights are probably going to feel quite comfortable on. As Coastline, yes, you can see innovation in strategy and teams can get a little bit, I guess freaky is one way you could describe it with how they set up site. But with Mirror Band off the board, we're not going to see too much creativity, and that does lean into teams that can show confidence, frag out, and manage their time efficiently. We've seen that so far in the first 2 rounds here for the Knights. They're playing comfortably. They're not having to do anything too special so far, which I think bodes well for them, especially considering that this is Roffle's pick.
Yeah, and that's the thing, as you mentioned at the end there, it is Roflcopter's pick. There's expectations. They're on the defense. Defense has also been pretty decent for teams so far on Coastline of recent, so this is a good start for the Knights. And they're a team that can easily dictate the tempo and set the expectations for a series, especially in a best of 3. They get out to a good start here. I think even the guys on the desk would have basically said if Knights win Coastline, they probably win Consulate, and therefore it's a 2-0. Even for the ones that did go for Roffle, I think the expectations in this series was for Roffle to win Coastline, play that sporadic nature that we expect from them, maybe lose on Consulate, but then win on Chalet. But ultimately, right now, it's just all Knights. Now, it's only 2 rounds in, Guz, and we've seen this all year long where, you know, the first 2 rounds, one team gets out to a good start, but then the other team can bring it back. Now, this is what I would almost say pivotal 3rd round. This is really where it's either Knights go up 3-0 and really look the goods, or Roffle might bring this back to a bit of normality.
Yeah, anecdotally, that does sort of feel like it has been the trend. The 3rd round offers an opportunity for the team trailing to get back into the matchup and make a bit of a statement. Otherwise, especially if you're on the defense, it does apply pressure, knowing that you haven't defended any of your 3 options so far. Now, interestingly, Roffle aren't going to go to Kitchen and attempt that. They are going to go back above and re-attempt Hookah Billiards. Last time, of course, in the Execute, it was a 3v5 against them. They dropped 2 picks offside. They weren't traded out, and the Knights were able to comfortably close out that round. So expect Roffle, again, to bring that aggression early round, but maybe play off one another a little bit closer, and if they are going to fall, at least find those trades.
Yeah, and they're going to find themselves in that sort of predicament where they don't want to get too over-aggressive just because they feel they may be falling behind in this match, that they start to try and do too much, and that's actually just going to be a bit of a trap, because Knights will pick them off. Knights are playing pretty you know, calmly for an attack here on Coastline. They're not rushing in. They're not making mistakes either at the moment. They're not allowing Roflcopter to really get too much of a look in. In saying that, of course, you know, OJ did pick up the first kill in the last round, but then Knights got 2 for it. So it was a 2 for 1. Knights ended up winning. Regardless of it's the opening pick or not, the situation was in Knights' control, basically from start to finish. And again, the way that this 3rd round is shaping up, Knights are not rushing in. They're setting up, they're finding information, and they're making it hard for Roflcopter to really do anything.
Once again, the pulse being employed here by Roffle, this time in the hands of Boydie, playing a similar position to OJ. Previously, who's now on the Warden. Boydie, though, gets aggressive as he crosses the kitchen window, lit up, but neither player dropping. Dino being pinged by the Alibi Prisma as he shoots through the window. Now Boydie and Campo, they're going to re-aggress back through Sunroom in towards security, looking to continually apply pressure on lobby.
But this is what Knights want, right? They've just flushed them out of sight. Now they've got them roaming around, but the Knights are already set up elsewhere on the map where they can start to pick people off. So it's like this game of cat and mouse now for the rest of the round for the next minute and a half, because Knights have got a beat, you know, they've got the site kind of opened up, they've got good sight lines, makes it hard for Roflcopter to sit on the site inside a kitchen. So that's why they're just running around now, but...
I wish the site was kitchen, Xenox.
Is it not? Oh, oh God.
That's right, we'll ignore that. It's okay, everyone makes mistakes. I do that all the time, so it's perfectly normal. Of course, objective is up above in hookah, but the extension here from Rofl is quite aggressive. Sage finds the first.
It's too
another
early in the
opening
morning
pick here for the Knights. I mean, it's not in the morning, it is 3 PM, as Boydie seems to be awake, finds that kill onto Josh, and there we go, it's a trade.
Just under a minute left in the round. Well, this is going to end up being a pretty standard approach then from Knights, isn't it? Pushing through Aqua. They go for that default plant. Boydie down below. Can he make a play though? Microsoft goes down. He's just absolutely lit up Hayward. But unfortunately, in the meantime, while doing that, the rest of his teammates just get annihilated. And yeah, that was, well, a bit of a weird round from my part as well, Cuz, but ultimately also a bit of a weird round as well from Roflcopter at the end, not offering too much in way of defense on site. Maybe they were confused as well, like me. 3-0, not a good start for Rofl.
Maybe it's too early for Rofl as well. Milo mentioning on the desk earlier that these guys are absolute ranked demons and play the game basically 24/7. So who knows, maybe they were up late last night playing Siege, and it's going to take them a little while to find themselves in this matchup. But they don't have all that long. Sure, it's a best of 3, but on your map pick, you need to be putting up a really good fight. And even if you don't win the map, at least gain some momentum so you'll stand a chance in your opposition's pick. So far, we're not really seeing Rofl activate. Last time, of course, when they played this map, we saw OJ in particular go really, really huge. But in the first 3 rounds, Warriors top fragging on 3 picks, and he really hasn't been one of the fraggers. It hasn't necessarily been his role in stage 2 to be finding these picks. So concerning signs for the rest of the team, like, for example, Bouncing, that we might expect to step up, and even Hotshot on occasion can pop off. So
I mean, OJ popped off last week, right?
I mean, yeah, maybe even OJ, despite being more of that support role, again needs to step up here for the team. I'm looking at someone to do it, because the Knights in the first 3 rounds have basically steamrolled their opponents.
That's kind of been also the success, though, of Roflcopter. They're a team that doesn't necessarily rely on just one player. I think all of the players can actually have a really good, impactful game. Maybe looking more so towards like Boydie, Bouncing, OJ, more than anything. But even Hotshot and Campo are both capable of fragging out. But right now, it's just all Knights. Like, in every sense of the word, this is a very one-sided game inside the first 3 rounds. I'm not sure exactly what the cause of that is. Knights are just obviously hitting their shots at a pretty good pace, but at the same time, they're playing slow. They're making it hard for Roflcopter to really achieve much in these early rounds. So does that mean maybe Rofl just have to get a little bit more aggressive than they usually would like?
Yeah, maybe. Try and disrupt the structure here from the Knights, because again, the Knights, whether we want to say it or not, they're saving strats, not going to do anything wild, and we've seen it in the first 5 rounds. They're playing default ops, going for default pushes, and they're just squeezing out opponents and not allowing Rofl to trade them back. It's obviously more complicated in practice than theory, but they're really not doing anything all that special. They are really just playing solid Siege, playing off one another, playing confidently, and winning their ones. Good drone intel as well here in round number 4 as they locate that player inside of Theatre, and I'm expecting the Knights over the next 10 to 15 seconds really begin to squeeze that position and make life difficult.
Yeah, and the first minute of these rounds has always been very, very slow, but that's because the Knights are making it slow. This time, though, Sage does not win that one. Bouncing goes big in this round, though, and this is something that has been missing from Roflcopter in the opening few. Boydie as well, and yeah, this is the first round of this entire match, guys, where it just goes a little bit wrong for the Knights. They push in, but they can't win their shots. They can't win their ones, and it all just falls apart from there. And Hayward in a 1 versus 5. Much better, though, from Roflcopter, but in fairness, and I could be wrong here, guys, but it doesn't feel like they did too much. It was more so Knights push in, and they just didn't win their fights this time. That was the only difference.
Yeah, they drowned out that player inside of Theatre, and I'm assuming Bouncing was the one to get the earlier down there onto Dino. That allowed the Alibi to retake Master, and unfortunately for the Knights, they couldn't find those picks, couldn't win those ones, and yeah, they really did capitulate. Of course, the conclusion to this round going to be quite slow. I think Rofl want to just get it over and done with as OJ spots the player here on the white window repel. Hayward cooks a nade in response to maybe find someone on the stairs. A player outside here for Rofl. As they get a little bit cheeky, they need to be careful here that they don't throw away too many picks, of course. Hayward does find one. That's Boydie jumping out the window. The rest of the team peeking service, peeking main door, peeking the double window as well. Hayward trying to put up the best fight possible.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any more run-outs from here with 20 seconds remaining. I mean, as I say that, though, Bouncin says, no, never mind. He's got 3 for the round now, 1 versus 2. That surely is the last one. Now, remembering, Hotshot is very low here. Hayward knows he has to make a play, almost takes himself out. He's got a quad. Surely doesn't win the round from here. Doesn't have diffuser, so Campo just has to hide.
5 seconds to go.
Still, I mean, that's like ranked play for Rofl there. Seriously.
Yeah, that was very ranked-esque. Of course, they did have the safety of the diffuser up above, so maybe getting a little bit too excited there, but if there's anything that encapsulates Rofl, it was probably the conclusion of that round.
Good stat pad, though.
Yeah, I don't think it was Hayward, right, at the end? Or was it Sage? I can't remember.
We'll check on the replays.
Hayward, yeah, so Hayward won't be too disappointed with how that played out in the end. Gets a few picks. Good entries, though, really there from Rofl. They did a really, really good job in denying those picks. Good display of individual skill here from Hayward, finding probably the easiest 4K of his career. Not enough to win the round, though. Rofl finally gets something on the board, and they can try and build something upon this.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
3-1 half so far, 2 rounds to go. In this best of 3 to kickstart the gauntlet here for the OCN playoffs, and the Knights have obviously shot out to a fast start. Rofl do get one back, although, I mean, now that they lost it in that fashion, or they won it in that fashion, it almost takes a little bit of gloss off that round win. To be fair, though, I mean, they had it locked up at 1v5, you know, and Campo was sitting on the diffuser. Yeah, okay, they threw a couple of lives away, going for a bit of a cheeky kill, but that was still a decent round from RoflCopter. They got to repeat it, though, 2 more times here in this first half. If they are at least to get it to 3-3. For the Knights, it's probably just keep playing as standard. I mean, honestly, they didn't do too much wrong, just didn't hit their shots.
Bouncing over towards DJ, runs out, looks for a pick, but gets shut down. It's a great shot there from Juicy to get the first for the Knights. A disappointing start here for Rofl. They've been bleeding opening picks time and time again. That's 4 from 5 going the way of the Knights. And in fact, every time the Knights have gotten an opening pick, they've gone on to win the round, of course being rounds 1 and 3 respectively. So they'll be looking to replicate that form. With Josh doubling down, that's looking more and more likely.
Bomb located by attackers.
Yeah, that's almost like just back to scheduled programming here from the Knights. This is basically what the first 3 rounds was like. Except this has actually also happened a little bit quicker than those first 3 rounds as well. This is kind of scary right now if you're RoflCopter, because this is their map pick, and if they can't turn this round around, a 4-1 start for Knights is a pretty big hole to climb out of if they can't get the 6th round to make it 4-2, and even then, still behind nonetheless. Hayward does get shot at. Didn't take too much damage. Boyd inside of the hallway, though, has to be careful. Has Hotshot behind him. Information, though, at least for Hayward. He can swing here if he wants over towards Cool Vibes, and Hotshot is waiting prone, but Hayward might not expect this, and he won't see him because of the holographic blocking the vision. And suddenly, 3 versus 3. A good timing knock from Josh. Campo gets taken down as well. He picks up the double. He's not done, though. There's a third. It's Hotshot. He swings from Cool Vibes to 1 versus 2.
Still a very boonable position here for Hotshot, who has a Nitro Cell in hand. We know how good the SMG can be, but there's a player pushing him from behind. He finds that pick on a Juicy, swings and finds the second onto Sage. What a clutch there for Rofl.
Oh, what a play. That is monumental. A round that probably should have gone the way of Knights gets stolen away by RoflCopter. 3-2 now. And suddenly now they can bring this back to a pretty respectable margin going into the second half. Yeah, and you can see the holographic there just betraying him. And yeah, what a play from Hotshot. Started at Cool Vibes and then finished off the round as well. almost single-handedly winning it there for Roflcopter. Big round win, 3-2 now, 1 round to go in this first half.
What do you think of my hype levels at the conclusion of that round? Was that okay? I want your professional opinion.
Not hype enough.
Oh, I tried to throw it to you. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
I'm only good at throwing in ranked, not a broadcast. So it's alright. I think I've used up all my hype though for the day, so don't expect too much from here on out. It's just going to be back to boring guys.
Well, so far this match has not been boring. Started off as maybe a bit of a night stomp, but Roflcopter have, in 2 very odd rounds, been able to bring it back to a 3-2 scoreline.
Seconds left before insertion.
Final round of this opening half. For
Seconds remaining.
a reminder for those who've maybe just tuned in today, 2 matches to be played today. Of course, the start of the gauntlet here, Knights and Roffle. And awaiting the winner of this game will be order that match to be played. Of course, tomorrow will be then round 3 and the grand final to be played there.
Intrigued to see if Roffle can even out this first half. Of course, every game of Siege composes of 2 halves, and we may well see this be quite an attacker-sided affair, so it's important that we never count any team out, particularly Roffle, on their map pick. And considering the prowess that they displayed against Wildcard in the final playday, we might be able to see something very similar here once again. Roffle looking to take control, or rather Knights looking to take control of VIP across. Now that wall in towards the 90 hallway has been jammed by Hotshot with a mute jammer, so that's going to be tricky to open. Bouncing elsewhere does get lit up by the Knights, who are hungry for another opening pick. They've gotten so many thus far, and they have a really good conversion rate. That last round, of course, a little bit of a blemish for the attack, but the Knights looking still to find that first kill.
And it just goes to show, even if you get out to a 1-man lead or 2-man advantage, doesn't mean the round is over. You fight until the end. Who knows what can happen. By the way, only 3 drones left in this round for the Knights. Extensive droning guns, but they have been punished by Roflcopter with 1.5 minutes remaining.
Kendall's flying out, but no one really able to capitalize upon that for the attack. Now that's an aggressive peek over towards Vaz there from Boydie, who does survive. Not favored at that long-range angle, and it does feel like the Knights are slowly maybe giving up on this position. Now, unfortunately, Josh finds himself stuck inside of the bathroom. OJ holding down that angle. Campo supporting from the 90 hallway. That smoke, though, allows him to cross. OJ almost does a Stewie 2K onto him, but doesn't quite find the pick. And this has been a really solid start for the defense.
And just under a minute remaining, though, so start is good. The end is drawing near. I think Knights are going to be setting up once again for another Aqua push. It's been successful many times over. Still have to be careful, though. 2 Nitro cells in the pockets of Boydie and Hotshot. If they go below and they establish a bit of vert control, they can really deny this plant from Knights with 30 seconds left.
Roffle forced to rotate off that penthouse position. Need to try and defend the site. 1 player in drinks. That is the mute in Hotshot. As Sage goes through, the Candelas pop off. All of these players are going to be blind, you would think. Dino finds a free kill there. Boydie and Campo left to try and hold down the fort.
Oh, and they are successful so far. I mean, Diffuser goes down, but it's a 3 versus 2. Obviously, it's a retake scenario now for Boydie and Campo, but it's not, honestly, the hardest scenario to be had. Nice little walkout from Boydie. Gets Hayward very low, finish him off, but Sage is watching and covering. Only Campo remains. He doesn't sense anyone's close by. He goes for the counter defuse, and pros don't fake. He will hold this the entire way through. Juicy will get there in time, though. What an opening half to start the gauntlet. Knights will take a 4-2 lead.
Welcome back, folks, to the Oceanic National Stage 2 playoffs presented by Samsung. What a start there for Rofl, 4-2 up on their attacking half, their prowess, proving too good there, particularly in that final round. What a clean execute it was off the back of Dino and the Ying. They put their foot down on their opposition's map pick, and now Rofl need to bounce back.
Located by attackers.
Yeah, not just the map pick of RoflCopter, but they also started on the defense, which has been, you know, in the past, pretty good, obviously, for defenders on Coastline in recent times. They just weren't able to really be matching the Knights' prowess, at least early on in those rounds. They brought it back 3-2, though, after losing the opening 3 rounds, but Knights at least able to close out, maintain that 4-2 advantage heading into the second half, where they now find themselves on the defense. Hook of Billiards first up here for round number 7.
Cheeky wall denial being employed here by the Knights. Dino on the Bandit, using all 4 batteries on that quad wall. That will make it tricky for Hotshot on the roof, on the Habano, to deploy X-Chorus on that wall. And if Rofl want to get those angles in towards Drinks, they'll need to clear said utility from below. It's another early opening kill here for the attack. This time Rofl to benefit. We saw just how strong it was for the Knights on their attacks. Can Rofl replicate that form?
Good signs, though, for RoflCopter. Who knows, this might be a trip down memory lane where this Coastline match is playing out to maybe be more attacker-sided than defender-sided. Dino's just going to be forced to rotate back through Kitchen. He was trying to be a little bit cheeky over towards the service door. This is the problem when you lose that opening player, though. The thought goes into your head. Do you fall back? Do we continue to hold some aggressive positions at the cost of maybe going down 5-3? Sage having a really good game so far, just quietly. 11-2-2.
Sage has been performing really well this year. Stage 1 was huge. Stage 2 a little bit quieter, but I guess that was the talk of the town for the entire roster. But you're right, so far on this particular map, having a big impact. Looking across to Rofl though, Boydie top fragging for them at the moment, so keep our eyes on him. Juicy elsewhere though does drop Boutzen, who's struggled a little bit in this matchup. It's a good pick for him.
Oh, is Dino going to set up maybe for a Nitrocell through the hatch for eventual push through Aqua maybe?
Or just go straight for it now.
Just go straight for it right now. They fall off it though. Minute left into this round and 4 versus 4. Knights have been able to sort of weather that opening storm. But I think it's brewing once again here. It's RoflCopter getting to work, opening up this Drinks wall. Sage just trying to hide, literally.
Showing intent though that he wants to try and peek VIP, find a kill, and he has been sharp thus far. So you'd back him in to maybe pull off that feat. Find that pick, give his team the man advantage. Josh holding down the fort for the plant, but Hotshot's already in. Does fall off as the smoke babe forces him back. Boydie to find that kill onto Dino, Juicy and Sage. These are the 2 players we're looking out for here. Josh as well in a great position. Can they try to deny this?
Yeah, Dino got caught from down below. 20 seconds left in the round. It's go time for RoflCopter. Campo with that diffuser. Expect to send him in now, and he does. Planting the diffuser. He gets denied, though. He gets shut down. Josh playing this perfectly. He picks up 2. Boydie's the only one that remains, but he's on the rappel outside. Not where you want to be with only 3 seconds left in the round, cuz. And Knights will take the opening round of this second half.
Really well played there by Josh to pop up and find those kills on the rotation. Rofl will be kicking themselves that they were unable to shut him down before he could do that damage, or at least trade it out. Maybe in hindsight, Rofl would have been better off sending it deep and trying to find those kills. There was a lot of pressure being applied there, particularly on that Drinks position. Had they have cleared that out, it basically would have been free real estate for them. Either way though, really well done by the Knights. They're under a lot of pressure when that execute came through. Rofl did a great job putting in the groundwork. They just couldn't quite get it over the line.
Yeah, Knights pulling ahead now with a 3-round advantage, up 5-2. Again, a reminder, this is the map pick of RoflCopter to start the gauntlet run, and RoflCopter's a team that showed us in stage 1. They can run the gauntlet. They can go from round 1 to round 3. regardless of who's in their path, they're a team to not be taken lightly, but in all honesty, Knights right now are playing like the Knights we expect when they are at their best or near their best. They're just playing pretty good Siege without doing anything too crazy either. It's stock standard, but if Knights are playing stock standard, most aren't going to be able to compete with them.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping that we would see from the Knights this afternoon. Of course, in that final play day, they experimented and tried some pretty interesting tactics, and I was hoping that heading into the playoffs, they were probably, and expecting them, probably to come in, play default ops, default strats, and just pull it off and outclass their opponents. We know they are capable of achieving that. They've shown it so far in this matchup, and they are playing really, really well. I genuinely expected that Rofl would be putting up a really solid fight here on Coastline, but they're struggling to find ins on these rounds, finding the picks required, and it's a stark contrast from their performance against Wildcard, where they were the ones dictating the terms of the match.
And this says a lot about the Knights as well. If they can 2-0 RoflCopter in this opening round, it sets them up with a date against Order, which of course, as we know, and it's been spoken about, that match last week in the final play day and testing things. I think this time around, Order would end up getting the Knights they probably expected on that night. Whether Order will be able to deal with them or not remains to be seen, but it's definitely not going to be an easy task. I think, if we're going to be honest, I think Order would have preferred RoflCopter over even just the standard Knights team. But it's not over yet. Long way to go. Best of 3, which is why we have the best of 3s in the playoffs, and it allows RoflCopter to maybe come back on Consulate, or hey, maybe still has time to come back here on Coastline. 5-2 so far as we head into the 8th round. Knights 1 round away from match point.
And I will say, if Rofl aren't able to get this win, particularly on their map pick, it is a very concerning sign for them over the course of this best of 3. If you want to look at the 7 maps in the pool and sort of split them in 2, between 4 being a little bit more structured and 3 potentially being a little bit more chaotic, we're actually going to be playing all 3 chaos maps in this best of 3. We have Consulate after this, and then Chalet is the decider. And I would argue that of all the maps in the pool, those 3 are the ones where you really need to be firing on all cylinders, need to be ready to adapt, need to be ready to play aggressively, and win your ones. And so far, Rofl, despite being the team we would back week in, week out to pull that off, hasn't really been the story so far for them. So just looking at the broader scheme of things, the best of 3 as a whole, if Rofl lose this, it starts getting a little bit scary.
Yeah, and Rofl needs to not go too defensive here on the attack. Probably still need to be aggressive, look to find these picks. They've been able to compete with the Knights in a lot of the early game portions, and yeah, nice from Boydie. But it's the late round situations where Knights have been able to really pull ahead, despite being at either an advantage or a disadvantage. Knights are just typically winning a lot of the fights late in the rounds.
Good start there for Rofl, isolating Dino. If they could maybe isolate one more pick and get that for free, that should alleviate some of the pressure late round here for the Execute. With that said, the Knights not really in a position to allow that to happen to on site to above, so a bit of a buddy system being employed here by the defense, which of course complicates things for Rofl. So far, only really committing to a Sunrise take, so we may not even see too much in the way of above control here for the attack.
Yeah, we're getting closer as well to that minute remaining. And this is where, even though Knights are at a disadvantage, they can get the back pretty quickly. Campo just gives a freebie over to Sage, who's more than happy to oblige. OJ, at least, though, restores that lead for RoflCopter by getting the elimination onto Juicy, and Bouncer finds another, and Boydie gets a very easy kill onto Hayward.
Oh, Hayward, what's going on there?
Well, there's 2 down for Rofl here.
Winnable here for Josh, MK in hand. In a decent position over towards lobby, watching the footholds and service, and the diffuser is on that kitchen window vault in. If Rofl don't have intel on Josh, it could make things tricky, but they do pick OJ back up. It's a 3-on-1.
Oh! I was going to say, though, Josh doesn't really have a whole lot of intel either. They get OJ back up. Just goes straight into service. Gets one. I think he already has the information on the player behind. Never mind, he didn't. Thought he might have heard him. I guess not. Big round win, though, for Roflcopter. And it just keeps them alive here on Coastline.
Another pretty messy conclusion to that round between these two teams. But it's a good result for Rofl, who keep themselves in this match. And the longer they can deny that match point, the better off they'll be. It was a strong start, isolating Dino on that first pick over towards Sunrise Bar. Boydie finds probably the easiest kill in his competitive career over towards the roof. And from there, they were able to try and get that plant down. Crosses being held, and a much cleaner result there for Rofl on the execute.
Yeah, you say clean, but I still feel like all of the round wins that Roflcopter...
Cleaner. I wouldn't say clean. I just say it was still messy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, is all of the round wins for Rofl have been messy to some degree.
Protect your bombs from being defeated
I mean, even
by
when they
attackers.
went up 5-1 in that, I think it was the 5th round,
Attackers have discovered the
you know, they ended up throwing away 4 players' lives trying to clear out Hayward. So even when they do win big like that, they still kind of threw away the lead that they had. Just need to see like a really clean round where they can either get like a flawless or from start to finish, totally in control. Knights are always within a sniff. They're always keeping it close. And even if Rofl do get that opening pick, they haven't always been successful. 4 times they've got it now. But a 50% success rate they're on after in the round. And Knight's still 1 round away from that match point, which certainly would put the pressure back on the Rofl.
Slightly different philosophy being employed here from the Knights, leaning heavily into utility. They're bringing a deployable shield there from Juicy, Aruni Gates, and Wamai discs to prevent projectiles from disrupting the setup too much. They're not bringing the pulse like we saw from Rofl to gain intel, instead backing themselves to, I guess, play off one another and hold map control as a team. Skeleton Key reigns out there from Boydie, not exactly sure where he's playing. On the roof, so maybe taking down some barricades. Not too sure. But again, Rofl need to isolate a pick here. It was Dino last round. It could well be him again inside of Office. We did see a bit of a presence around security hallway rappel. There's a couple of players outside the double door as well. And if Rofl can get a free pick here early on, it would put them in a great position.
And it feels like just about every round that we've had here on Coastline has found that opening pick around the 1.5-minute mark. Usually a lot of the times it's the attacking team, and once again, this time Boydie wins out. Dino honestly should have probably gotten that kill, but a nice little response from Boydie gives the opening pick and the advantage over to Roflcopter with 1.5 minutes in the 9th round.
Yeah, tactically, Dino played that really well. He set himself up basically for a free kill, but he couldn't quite convert it, and his accuracy just not quite there, unfortunately. So Rofl do get that free pick, and it's not traded back by the Knights. No one, of course, really in a position to trade that back. And in terms of positioning, Rofl now with Office control can begin to think about this plant behind the A chassis. Now, in the meantime, Juicy can burn time, so let's do 2 gas babes to work with. But with Campo finding that pick onto Juicy, that means said babes are down, and Rofl are now in a fantastic position.
Yeah, and Knights don't have much in way
A bomb has been
of really
located.
stalling this out. Knight yourself for Sage, 2 nades for Josh and Hayward, that's it. 40 seconds left in the round. 3 drones, make it 2 drones left for Rofl, so not a whole lot of information late in the round as they do push in. Hotshot, though, already actually on site, getting that diffuser down. Josh with a headshot onto Hotshot will stop it, but there's a response from Bouncing. Sage needs to get involved here. It's too little too late now, though, I'm afraid, as it's a 1 versus 4. Expecting the play from Cool Vibes, but just too many players surrounding him, and Roflcopter making a bit of a comeback here on Coastline.
Yeah, a really unfortunate start to the round there for the Knights. The misplay from Dino does prove costly, and it goes to, again, attest to the fact that maybe one kill going one way or the other at the very beginning of the round can have huge ripple effects throughout. We then saw the Knights try and transition in towards some sneaky rat plays. Josh, for example, he was inside of Courtyard or Eden, however you want to describe that call out, the little garden in the center of the map. hidden in the corner. He swung and was good for one. He swung and was good for one. But of course, immediately traded back and Roffle proving that they're on point.
I have to Google, is that even a word?
Swang, surely not.
Swang.
I've definitely said that before.
Swang definition is chiefly dialectal past tense of swing.
Oh, so it is a word.
But it's in the Urban Dictionary, so...
Yeah, no, it's probably
5-4 though, and it has been a bit of a comeback from Roflcopter in the last 2 rounds, and they've looked a little bit better both times. Boydie's been able to find the opening pick onto Dino. Knights will be sweating a little bit here if Roflcopter can make it 5-5 and win 3 in a row. And we can say for certainty now, guys, this has been a very attacker-sided coastline.
Goes against the trend that we've seen here in OS. Again, limited amount of data, but from what we have to go off, it has been defend decided. So that's a change up. But I mean, maybe we should have expected that, considering the teams that are going head-to-head here, particularly Roffle, who are so good on the attack and so good on the entry.
Dino's so lucky. That almost happened for the 3rd time in a row, guys.
And it could still happen. Boyd in a great position to maybe swing. Knights have teamed up, so they should trade it back, but Josh finds the kill before Boydie can even see, and that's a good opening start for the D.
I still don't even know how Dino didn't die. I thought he headshot him, or at least was about to. He's so fortunate. And Josh, of course, then re-peaks and gets the kill, and Knights get a much-needed reprieve. They've got a 1-man advantage. They take Boydie off the board, who's been immense so far for Roflcopter. 12-8-1. He's been so impactful. There was a ping. Knights with a bit of information here on one of the Roflcopter members, and the fact that we've still got 2 minutes in this round. This one could be a fast round peak from Hayward though, but he gets caught, and elsewhere, Josh as well dies the hot shot. And how quickly you go from a 5-4 advantage down 3-4.
Little bit of an unnecessary peak there from the Knights, and Roffle will make them pay. Now, there is a player inside of Sunrise. It is Dino in a great position to swing Kitchen, but Bouncing ready and waiting, it would seem. I thought that maybe we'd see the pinch from Sauna, but maybe Roffle not wanting to focus too much attention. Instead, of course, 2 on site, you could try and flush those players out and force the retake here from Dino later on. Hotshot is on the balcony alongside OJ. The ace with the diffuser in hand. A decent amount of utility here for Roffle to work with in preparation for the execute. A nice nade. Inflicts some pain onto Juicy, trying to hold Vaz as Sage will take down that Selma, looking to expose that position. Dino does activate down below, dropping Bouncing. That could compromise this execute.
Well, if it does, it hasn't really been able to do it for very long, because Roflcopter now again with the man advantage. It's imperative here that Sage can at least get 1 kill from this position inside of Billiards, and it looks like it is going to be a bit of a rotation here from Roflcopter. He thought about the Nitrocell, elected not to, but he knows that there is a player on the rappel. Gas Babe's still available for Juicy. 1 goes out, that's going to stop the default plant. 20 seconds left. Does still have 1 more Gas Babe to throw out. That's going to be also pretty big, because now time is of the essence here. They go in, OJ's watching the rappel, but it's Sage who got the headshot onto Hotshot. The swings are perfectly timed from the Knights. Much needed round win, sensing the comeback from Roflcopter. They halted in its tracks, and now they've got match point.
Really well played there from the Knights to lock that out. Juicy with the Smoke Babes doing so well to delay the initial push there from Roffle, and then the Stronghold on Drink's position made life so difficult. Roffle attempting to go deep, swing, expecting to find a pick or at least trade it out, were unable to achieve either objective. That player on the rappel stuck, caught out by the run out. A disappointing execute there for Roffle. That's twice now on that objective. They have capitulated at that final hurdle.
Simply because of the Gas Babe stopping the default plant, right? You have to almost push past it. No?
I would assume so. Without knowing the time and the utility remaining off the top of my head, that was probably the mentality that Roffle had in that round. They probably made the call to send it, find picks, trade it out. And again, if you don't win your ones, and if the defense is prepared and gunning, it's going to be very, very tough. And Knights have proven that time and time again now.
It is a little surprising because they did have the player on the rappel, and then you end up just seeing the player on the rappel just has 2 players from Roflcopter walk in front of their sightline, but decision made doesn't always work out, especially when there's only like 10 seconds left in the round. It's always very difficult to ascertain as to what the maybe correct play is. And I think you just have to, at that point, give credit to Knights in the way they were set up defensively to win that round. Match point for this opening map of this best of 3 for the Knights to steal the map pick away from Roflcopter. Consulate to play after this. And then, if needed for a third, then Chalet.
Another aggressive extension from Dino in towards Sunrise, playing the Frost on this occasion. We saw Roffle did a really great job in dealing with that last time, found a free kill. So we might expect a similar approach here from Roffle, trying to again isolate that first initial opener and set themselves up better for the late round, which has been, for lack of a better term, a bit sketchy for them, even when they have had man advantages. So the more pain they can compound early round here, the more pressure they can alleviate before they execute. Pretty aggressive top sweep here from the attack. Hayward under the pump being tracked by the Jackal. That's bouncing, of course. And once again, Roffle trying to open up this wall, but Juicy down below has shotgunned holes from Kitchen up above to prevent that from happening. But Hayward elsewhere under the pump as they send it through theater. It's a good trade from Roffle. Sage elsewhere, though, does find one with the Nitro.
Yeah, and it keeps the advantage here for the Knights. 4 versus 3 with a minute and a half remaining. It's really going to hinder the attack from Roflcopter. They do still have Thatcher and Ace combo, though, which needed to open something up. Campo, of course, still with those Geminis available, so not all hope is lost here for Roflcopter, but a match point here for the Knights with a 1-man advantage to go 1-up in the best of 3. This is a pivotal point of this match.
Only 1 player on site. The other 3 are, of course, off and could be isolated here by Roffle. If they have the intel, if they play this smart, it is very possible. 8 drones available, so I don't see any reason why they couldn't take a brief moment here and at least identify that only 1 player is on site and adjust their push accordingly. With above control, they might even be able to flush that player out as well. So despite being at the man advantage, I wouldn't count Roffle out of at least being able to get that diffuser stuck.
Juicy in a good position, though, inside of toilets, and I still think this is going to be very difficult for Roflcopter. Everything has to go perfect and some. They probably also need Knights to make a few mistakes. Josh, not in a position to be doing that, though. He's not going to make mistakes. Knights surely are not going to squander this opportunity. They definitely won't now. Campo gets that kill, but he's surely going to get swung on from Sage. Sage will get one back. That's the round. That is the map. Knights take Coastline away from Roflcopter and go 1-up in the best of 3.
A great performance there from the Knights. It was nothing special, but they got the job done. And if anything, that's probably even more dangerous and more scary for Roffle, who need to bounce back against their opponent's map pick. And they just couldn't come out gunning like we've come to expect. The Knights outshining their opponents, and they deserved that win. They were the better team.
They certainly were. And for the Knights now, 1 map away from moving on into the next round where they will be playing Order. They do have to, of course, win out on Consulate. They get 2 opportunities as well at that. If they do lose the next map, then obviously we go to Chalet. But a great start. I mean, 7-4. The guys on the desk were talking about Roflcopter, pretty much building them up and their expectations. But it's the Knights, even just playing pretty standard Siege guys, they just look a whole world better.
Yeah, I think it is a testament to the fact that sometimes you can keep it simple and get the job done. That's what we probably expected from the Knights heading into this matchup. Again, they have the major to focus on. They're not going to reveal too much. It's not in their best interest. So they came into this match, and I guess they sort of treated it like a glorified ranked game. They played very default. We did see, I mean, some variations in their defense, trying to deny hard breaches, etc. over towards 90. But again, even that wasn't too far removed from what we have come to expect on coastline defenses, in particular, where they were able to shut out Roffle really, really well. So it's a good start for them in this series. If they just continue to play like this, continue to roll this momentum, I'm going to flip-flop and say this will probably be a 2-0 Knights.
There's a man that does a lot of flip-flopping. He's on the desk, and that desk also has a pretty nice guy as the host.
Oh, I'm glad to know that you weren't pointing fingers at me flip-flopping, because I definitely am not a flip-flopper. I am a thong, that is for sure. You know, the Aussie term, thong, just to clarify for any international viewers out there. But Dev, you got that cheeky little smile on your face. I do love it. But what a game from the Knights.
Yeah, and look, I am ready to flip-flop. I think this is going to be a 2-0 for the Knights. Basically, for me, it was just a question of, are the Knights going to show up and play what we've seen from them in the past, what we've come to expect from them, kind of close to their skill ceiling, or are we going to see kind of more what we saw in their order game at the end of OCN, or them kind of, letting the pressure get to them and maybe just not, taking this as prominently as they should. And look, we definitely saw a good showing from Knights. In particular, like starting strong on their attack, I think definitely helps, definitely build my confidence up on them. And while a 4-2 half isn't anything to get too excited about on their attacking side, they managed to really dig their heels in on their defense as well. And I know Guz kind of said that they played pretty default, but I don't know, Ying executes on their attack and some pretty cool 90 holds on their kitchen defenses. I think that actually was really quite sophisticated.
Milo, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think Knights actually just played a very good coastline. I mean, on their attacks, they played it slow, they played it disciplined, and they were just watching out for that, that common aggression that you'd expect from Roffle. And honestly, they were just dominating at the start. And even when the rounds that they lost, some of them, it would have been just, 5-0 sweep, flawless, but they just seemed always in control.
And, we're looking at Sage at the top of the scoreboard. And Milo, the score is reminiscent of the game against Roffle for you guys. However, it's on the receiving end of Roffle this time. So maybe a little bit of a nod to you on the desk. Who knows? I mean, you never know. You never really know, Milo. But certainly, go.
So you might have just watched some VODs?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he just found out the secret formula to beat OJ. I don't know. He did well.
The spice is certainly there. There's no doubt about it now. Dev, I mean, what does this mean for the series moving forward? We head to Consulate next.
It definitely sets a pretty exciting pace for the Knights, and I guess a little bit of a grim tone for Roflcopter kind of coming into this. I was pretty convinced that it was going to be a trading of each team would win their map pick. We go to the decider, and I just kind of said it was pretty close to split, but I'd probably back Order for Chalet just because of the better results overall on that map. It's Roflcopter. Bit ahead of myself already. But hey, Knights coming out strong, taking Roflcopter's map. It's a map that we've seen Roflcopter, slap wildcard on. Sorry again for reminding you. Yeah, Knights stepped up. They played a great game. And I think just coming into Consulate, I think this is going to be a more convincing win for them. And I think they'll probably take it 2-0.
Milo, do you agree this should be a 2-0?
That's what I said at the start, man.
Yeah. Well, looks like you've doubled down on that. Also made me look a fool. Thanks for that, boss. It turns out we've got a new Xenox on the desk, so it's great to have you here with us. Anyway, we're going to go to a short break. On the other side, it is Consulate.
looks to have another pick.
He's going to be washed through there. Now see, really dangerous. You've got that close. I think it's
Oh, yeah. Well, it looks like Knights are off to a good start, and I don't know whether RoflcopterGG can recover. We head to Consulate next with Knights up in the series. Milo, is this something that Roffle should be worried about? Because, I mean, me playing Knights would be horrifying, but coming up against them 1-0 in a series going to their map pick, surely that's not selling good signs.
Definitely not, man. Losing, honestly, pretty convincingly on Coastline is not a good start for them. And they're going to be taking them to Consulate. I don't think they're going to make it.
I mean, I just don't want to see, you know, a 2-0 for Roffle here. After what we saw from them in Stage 1, Dev, you know, they had a very good performance, but this, it seems to be what's going to happen.
Yeah, look, RoflcopterGG might have been the dark horses, underdogs in Stage 1, and yeah, they eliminated some pretty strong teams from the Gauntlet, but I don't think they're going to have that same fairy tale run here in Stage 2. They're just not set up very well now. Losing their own map pick, like you said, Milo, really convincingly. Knights now moving to Consulate, which is a map that not only do they beat RoflcopterGG on during the regular stage, but they've also beat teams as good as Elevate. You know, we're talking one of the best teams in APAC, and Knights managed to take them down on this map. And in contrast, RoflcopterGG just can't boast the same kind of level of results on this map. Plus, they're coming off probably their confidence a little bit, I guess, on the kind of back burner. I guess I wonder from you, Milo, is like Consulate is kind of another map where you can play really aggressively, and I know you have a lot of thoughts on RoflcopterGG's play style. Do you think this is actually going to suit them, or do you think it's going to be punished?
Well, it's up to Knights whether they're going to be able to hold the runouts and stuff. And they did it on Coastline every round, so if they keep that form up, I don't think Roffle's going to stand a chance. I mean, all Roffle really needs to do right now is just knuckle down and really just focus on giving up some ground and let them work around it. Let them progress deeper into the round and see if you can make something happen rather than kind of throwing it out the window in the first 30 seconds.
Just seems to be the Roffle motto, doesn't it? Just throw it out the window in the first 30 seconds and see what happens. Well, it looks like there's a general consensus here that Roffle are down bad. We're going to throw it over to the two gentlemen that are dressed for a funeral.
Flip, flop.
Did Rob just say down bad on the
I don't know.
podcast?
All I see is a bunch of flip-flopping guys up there. They can't make up their mind. I'm sure when RoflcopterGG win this game, they'll be back on the bandwagon. They were all Roffle.
Yep.
Now they're all Knights. I mean, come on, guys. Have some credibility. We can't trust anything you say on the desk. Look, we'll say this, though, guys. I've been on the Knights bandwagon since day dot. You, yourself?
Well, I thought it was going to be the death of the Knights today. So look, I'm not gonna get too involved in the flip flopping. Fine, I'll stick by Roffle. I mean, not gonna win this map, but I'll stick by them.
Yeah. Look, honestly, it's not impossible. I think Consulate still offers RoflcopterGG an avenue forward where, you know, as it's been touched on the desk, even though we can't really take what they say, that it is, of course, still a kind of aggressive open map where maybe RoflcopterGG could use that to their advantage.
Yeah, I think Milo made a good point, though. It's important that Roffle don't take it too far and throw any potential round wins or advantages out too early here, particularly in that first 30 seconds to a minute. They just need to be careful and find themselves into these rounds. That said, I guess countering that point is they also need to be a lot more on point in the last 30 seconds as well. Their executes on Coastline weren't amazing, and they were getting constantly shut down by the Knights. So that's something that we'll have to monitor here as well, because Consulate, again, a very, very hectic sort of execute style, very trade heavy. If you get that plant down, you're almost guaranteed to win the round. So that's probably going to be the primary objective here for both teams. But yeah, keen to see it play out.
Just waiting on one player. Apparently, they decided to just leave, up and leave. They just
Do you
don't
reckon
want
it was Knights again?
Look, if it's not Knights, I will be very disappointed. It was a Knights player. Yeah, 100%. I'm not even joking. It's always the Knights, guys. Always. And we need to keep them under lock and key because they just get up and wander away, and we have to sit here waiting for them. But look, it gives us a little bit more time, I guess, to sort of dissect this down a little bit. Really good. No, never mind. We're going straight in. They're back. They must have heard me. We can dissect when we get into the game. It's Knights versus RoflcopterGG. Second map of this best of three for RoflcopterGG. They have to win this map and the next if they are to survive in the Gauntlet.
Scary matchup here for Ruffle, as Dev mentioned on the desk. The Knights have good form on this map. They took down Elevated and APAC South, but more importantly, they took down Ruffle 7-5 in regulation in play day 3. So we know that the Knights can definitely take it up against Ruffle, and if they can do the same here, it'll be a clean 2-way victory, and they'll meet Order in round 2 of the gauntlet in terms of bans. Nomad taken off the board, and probably going to see Thatcher followed up here by Ruffle.
Wouldn't that be a tantalizing matchup? Order versus Knights.
Bit of a rivalry.
Yeah, it feels like it, especially off the back of Play Day 7. Some fighting words as well from Specker in that interview. Thatcher take it off, no surprise really with either of those two bans so far. We probably anticipate the Valkyrie, whether it's either this ban or the next, so it's just a matter of what goes alongside the Valk, and they're going to leave it to lucky last. What do you say, guys?
Between the remaining defenders, I'm going to anticipate Mirror, given the nature of these two teams. I don't think it will be Kaid. I'd be very surprised. Definitely like a clash. In fact, it will be Pulse. Okay, so none of them. That throws a spanner in the works. We did see the Pulse brought out, particularly from OJ over on map 1 of Coastline. And we know in particular that on the split objective on the defense, that Pulse is really, really powerful. So that might suggest we'll see Split get frequented here by teams that don't necessarily need to rely on that Pulse.
Knights on the defense first, Roflcopter on the attack. We had the statistics for Coastline, and, well, for Consulate, we've seen it a bit more. In fact, it's the second most played map for OCN. I think a lot of that coming in the first half of the stage. And surprisingly, guys, it's actually pretty 50-50. 32 attacking wins and 29 defending wins as well. So, like, I mean, that's basically right. Like, that's 50-50 as much as it can get. 52-47, whatever. Who cares?
I care. No, I don't really care. I'm not really that big into numbers, so Milner Methyl Broadcast is not my strong suit. So, yeah, glad you brought that up, but of course, we'll have to move on and see exactly how this plays out, keeping in mind that last match actually went against the stats. It was attacker-sided on Coastline when numbers would have suggested that it is the second most defender-sided map in the pool. So who knows what this one could throw at us with the Knights starting on the defense first. We'll have to see how aggressive they are going to play over on Coastline. It was pretty measured, their aggression. They were aggressive when required, but didn't really go over the top at all. So we'll have to see whether or not they'll bring that same philosophy here over on Coastline, even with that Nomad ban.
The Knights, of course, got out to an amazing start on Coastline. They won the first 3 rounds, all on attack. But on the defense this time around, we'll see if they can replicate the start that they had on Coastline. Of course, Consular is the map pick of the Knights. And Dino with the opening pick onto OJ. Maybe just giving us a preview as to what this first half may bring for us. Great start for the Knights.
Ooh, Josh over towards the front door, finds that kill onto Bounce, and as free as you would like here. 2 picks for the Knights, maybe a third here with the Nitro, but Campo will survive. Hayward in a great position to run out, of course, and he won't be denied, but it's Josh over towards the front door to find that pick. It's a very, very good start for the Knights, and Hot Shot within a minute is left in the 1-on-5.
Yeah, great start for Knights here. Just a clean, methodical round, and, well, the other way to sum it up is flawless. And this is the difference between these two teams, and obviously the nature of a best of 3, we kind of look back to the earlier map and we take examples from that. But when Roflcopter were winning their rounds, none of them were really clean. A lot of them were quite messy, coming down to, you know, the final kind of moments or coin flip moments. Whereas Knights have definitely had a lot more clean rounds where they just dominate from start to finish, like that one in particular. And that's a pretty bad sign if you're Roflcopter here on Consulate, which, you know, it's a 50-50 kind of map, right? Like, at least from OCN. So good start here for the Knights.
A solid start indeed. Playing aggressively to the extent in which they prevented Ruffle from entering the building, but at the same time, it wasn't stupidly risky. I know it's obviously a very fine line to tread when talking about this sort of stuff, but each pick that we saw from the Knights was, yes, again, aggressive and probably could have been punished by Roffle, but at the same time, it was nothing stupidly ridiculous to the point where the Knights could have thrown the round the other way. It was well measured. They looked confident in their shots, and they're playing sharply. So very dangerous for Roffle, who, again, couldn't even get themselves inside of the building on that occasion. So, look, baby steps. They'll probably go for an admin sweep here, and if they can at least get inside the building and get some work done, that would be some momentum going their way at least.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
It just feels like we're watching the slow demise of RoflcopterGG, who had, obviously, looking back, a very good stage 1 in the gauntlet run. They beat Order, then they beat Bliss. They took a map off the eventual champions of Chiefs in that 3rd round. Had a pretty good regular stage as well in stage 1. And, well, if they lose to the Knights here, of course, not really able to back it up. In fairness, they kind of set very high expectations after such a strong stage 1. Technically a top 3 finish when it was all said and done, but they're going to fight back in this series. Not only winning Concert, but then Chalet afterwards. Campo with the opening pick. On to Juicy. Good start here in the 2nd round for Roffle.
Stage 1, of course, being the first time we saw Roffle playing at this level of play, and maybe I guess it was a honeymoon period for them where teams didn't quite know what to expect, and their particularly aggressive flavor of Siege went unpunished for a lot of that stage. So maybe the 2nd stage, an indication that maybe not necessarily Roffle are dropping off, but the rest of the teams in OCN are stepping up and know what to expect now and can better counter this sort of play style, and the Knights demonstrating that so far this afternoon. It is a good opening pick though for Roffle off the back of that grenade, I believe it was, but now's crunch time. Can they actually convert an advantage? Because they found themselves in similar positions over on Coastline, but fell at that final hurdle.
2 Nitro cells still available as well for Josh and Hayward. Ping out actually on Hayward's position, so he's been spotted out. And as soon as he pushes out, Campo is waiting for him in the wings. And it's a 2-man advantage now for RoflcopterGG. This is a much better round for them, much cleaner. They haven't rushed it. Played the repel game perfectly, and Knights have just continued to fall into their trap. Hot shot now in.
Ooh.
And getting the plant down.
Might be able to stick this plant. 1.5 seconds left, and does. So the Knights now need to try and retake Sage low. Josh also lit up, and the cross is being held here on the repel is going to make this essentially impossible for the 2 remaining defenders with 35 left on the board.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Even if they can somehow find a couple of kills, which is exactly what they're doing. Firstly, time. Secondly, player on the repel and where the diffuser is. Hot shot. Nice double at the end of the round for RoflcopterGG. Almost reminiscent of his round back on Coastline where he clutched up big. Although this time was a little bit less against him and more so just closing it out for RoflcopterGG. 1-1 to start Consulate.
Good little fight back there from the Knights in the post plant, but unfortunately for them, 2 picks isolated off-site early round put them in a very tough position where Roffle were able to capitalize, get in towards the site after a bit of a cheeky exchange on those repels, and then the post plant with all of those crosses held. Very, very tough. Like basically every site here on Consulate, once you get that diffuser stuck, very, very tricky for the defense to come back. Now there has been a pause here. I'm assuming this is an attack after the 2nd round. If so, that's a big call. Oh no, we've been given word that it is in fact a technical rehost, so hopefully we can get back into the action soon, but so far I think it's safe to say that it's been a pretty close encounter. I think, again, it's going to come down to Roffle just being very careful early round here and not allowing the Knights to dictate the pace.
Yeah, especially when Knights are on the defense as well, right? You don't really want them to be able to find these opening picks, these run-outs, or just spawn peaks, especially here on Consulate. Defense, where we've seen the meta really dictate that. The defenders are so oppressive and making it difficult for the attackers that RoflcopterGG were able to install that repel game pretty well and flushed out the Knights players. But it's only one round. So far, at least the track record in this best of 3 has proven that the Knights typically win out more often than not.
5 seconds to insertion.
They might give up the odd round here or there, but Roflcopter certainly are the team that needs to continue to find ways of upsetting the Knights here.
A lot of utility again here from the Knights, similarly to what we saw in some of their defense rounds on Coastline. Again, bringing the double projectile denial with the Aruni and the Bombay. Info being brought with those Banshees from Hayward, as well as those Evil Eyes from the Maestro of Juicy. Josh as well. More utility to clear with those new jammers, allowing him and the rest of the team maybe to play a little bit more aggressively up above and masking their rotations back down below to again delay this push. It's going to be up to Rofl to efficiently and quickly drone up above despite those jammers being in place so that they can gain control, so that they can hopefully get an opening pick or two.
It's going to be a 2-minute mark, EE1D from OJ. Knights not really offering too much in ways of aggressive play right now, which is definitely going to help out Roflcopter in establishing control around site, and inside and outside. To clear out utility inside and around Piano. Minute 20 left, and now Sage does find that opening pick though. Took a little longer than maybe some of the previous rounds, but it does come through. Juicy as well, finds one onto OJ. Some good angles there from Knights, and they will punish Roflcopter.
OJ had a good angle, but gets caught off guard. Talking about good angles, Boydie outside of benches does find at least one pick back, leaving Rofl a minute to go with a man down. Juicy inside of Bathroom though, likely needs to be cleared, and Bouncin still trying to gain control above. Josh elsewhere finds a pick as Bouncin will now be left all alone. No, Boydie will find back, and Bouncing does find that shot into meeting. Josh and Juicy now find themselves in quite a pressure situation, or a pressured scenario, but Josh does drop that diffuser, leaving Bouncin to clutch.
Only 30 seconds and still has to go find that diffuser, and immediately, oh what a hole, oh what a shot though from Bouncin. Josh just letting that opportunity slip. Is Bouncin expecting Juicy to be watching that diffuser? He's got a different angle. He tags him over towards yellow stairs. Bouncin has a hopeful spray through the wall, but there's only 6 seconds remaining. Juicy really just has to play for time here. Doesn't have to do anything.
Operators, you are out of time.
Clench those butt cheeks, Juicy. Knights win the round.
The backpack protects him there, absorbing some of those bullets, it would seem. Close there for Juicy, but cool, calm, and collected to win out the round despite a valiant effort there from Bounce, and such a clean shot to bring it back to the 1 versus 1. And had he have just sprayed through that wall a couple more times, the round would have been his. But again, the Knights, they're really, really strong in the early round here. Rofl are finding life really, really challenging, and now that is 2 opening picks going the way of the Knights, and so far in the 3 rounds played, the opening pick equals the round win, which, again, a very similar storyline to what we saw on Coastline of the 11 rounds played in map 1. Only 3 went the way of the team that did not get the opening kill, so it just goes to prove how critical it really is in this match.
Yeah, and for the side of the Knights as well, including Coastline and now Consulate, whenever they get the opening pick, it's translated into the round win every single time, bar 1. Only once were they not able to turn that opening pick into a round win. So, and that was actually the hotshot clutch round as well. So probably should have even won that too. So if Knights get the opening pick, they have a higher success rate at closing out the round off the back of it, whereas Rofl can still be a little shaky. Admittedly, only twice they've gone on to lose those rounds, but in fairness, they haven't had as many opening picks as Knights anyway over the course of the 2 maps that have played out so far. Knights up 2-1. Reminder, this is Knights map pick as well. here on Consulate. They did steal Coastline away from Roflcopter. We do expect Knights to be the favourite team here.
Dino and Hayward to hold each other's hand inside of admin, looking to prevent map control, deny drones, and maybe even find a pick or two. They had success last time. In fact, it was flawless when the Knights went for this extension and pulled off some pretty nutty plays. That Nitro Cell from Dino doesn't quite hit the mark. In fact, doesn't lay down any damage on towards the attack as Rofl continuously drone out these positions, trying to find something.
Reload!
Yeah, and really good information there for Roflcopter between missing that Nitro Cell and then being able to drone out admin. Just a mini win, and then Boydie finds the opening pick. So just over the last 20 seconds or so, things going the way of Roflcopter. They will just back it up. Now this could end up being one of their more flawless rounds that we've seen in this best-of-3 series. They find the picks just about everywhere across the map. Sage is low as well. Won't take much to bring him down. He can't even find that Nitro Cell pick.
Bomb located by attackers.
It's just been a clean round from Roflcopter.
Really good use of utility from the attack and converting intel. 2 kills. Now Josh on the flank might be able to find one here. Does find the back of Bouncing's head. That might be an in on this round. If you can also find this attacker up above, that would bring it to a 2 versus 3, but they'll drop down below in towards Piano. Keep in mind, Sage so low, trying to hold yellow stairs. It takes 1 bullet for him to fall, and then Knights have their backs well and truly against the wall.
I think there's still one E, 1D as well available for OJ. With 55 seconds remaining. I mean, all of the pressure right now here on Sage and Josh. Yeah, it's never going to be Sage surviving from that position. There's that final EE1D as well. Just halting Josh's momentum over towards yellow stairs. But when he gets a bit of information there, should get this kill on the hot shot. He's got him pinched, never mind. I'll take that back. He doesn't get it at all. You could actually see the elbow of Josh as well, and just swings back immediately and gets that kill. Much needed round win for Roflcopter, and yeah, that one goes down as maybe one of their more clean rounds that we've seen in this series.
Yeah, a really sharp start there for Hotshot. He, of course, got the 2K to close out their first round victory, and then gets the final pick there onto a wounded Josh over towards Yellow Stairs to win their second. So far, positive signs for both teams, really. Rofl, they're doing a much better job, again, translating intel over towards utility usage, which then equaled kills. They swept the map quite nicely, and sure, they took their time in the 2v4, but they had plenty of it banked up. They used it well. They ensured that they isolated Sage, found that pick, and then Josh forced to rotate, also cut off. Good signs here for Rofl. And look, so far I'd say they're probably looking more comfortable here on Consulate than they ever were on Coastline, which is pretty ironic considering the veto.
Well, I think when you look at Coastline, right, Knights got out to that 3-0 start. So, in fairness, yeah, Rofl were always playing from behind, but they did then win 2 in a row.
10 seconds to go.
Technically, haven't still done that on Consulate, so they won actually 2 in a row twice on Coastline. It's just the fact that they never were able to stop the Knights from also winning 2 in a row after their 3-0 start. So yeah, in a way you're right, because of the fact that it's sort of back and forth, 1 for 1 over the first 4 rounds, and it's close. But I think that the biggest takeaway for me is just the fact that on Coastline, they allowed Knights to get out to that 3-0 start. After that 3-0 start, it was actually very close. Literally for the rest of the map. 2 to Rofl, 2 to Knights, 2 to Rofl, 2 to Knights. That's literally how it finished.
2 rounds still left in this half, though. Hayward yet to net himself a kill, in a position now to maybe find one if he swings the meeting balcony. Oh, Bouncing bolts in and still wins the fight. What a pick there to win that engagement. Now, Dino's up above over towards Long. If he drops here, the Knights are in a really bad position. He does. Boydie swings that skinny side of Long Desk to find that kill. It's a great start for Rofl.
And it just continues with that narrative that you set up, that they are looking a bit better here on Consulate. The confidence to just push in there, get these shots, get these very pivotal kills. I mean, Josh, you've got to kill this player. Your hot shot just gets caught. Much needed kill there for the Knights. And it looks as if they're just going to go back down into garage and bunker down here.
And that's a pretty big kill. Not only does it drop the kit, forcing someone to rotate there, waste time, pick it up, bring it around to the rest of the execute, but it's also the one and only hard breach for Roffle taking down. Now, Josh seemingly would have seen it was the Thermite based on obviously the character model, the skin, etc. Can call that out to the rest of the team. And the Knights now are probably ready and waiting for this back push. So despite being at the man disadvantage, I feel as if the Knights will be pretty well prepared for this execute. If they play this smartly, they could close this out. You can see already they are rotating around. I mean, Sage is, I believe, probably punched that mirror window, so it can't be used against him. Again, ready for that back push. And yeah,
they're
it's already been popped open. So the Knights are ready for this.
Yep. And Josh could also play over towards White Van and hold that position, knowing that nothing's going to get blown open, so he can watch Yellow Stairs. Yeah, this is a really good defensive hold here for the Knights. The only downside is that they're down a player. Less positions and less angles that could be held had they had an extra player alive. And now Sage is on the floor as well. Big nade. Josh can rotate very quickly and go and get him back up. Of course, no information gathered for Roffle to know that they got Sage down. He's back up again, but the push, it's mounting. Bouncing with the immediate pick onto Sage. Josh at some point has to maybe give up on this Yellow Stairs hold and go and help out because he is getting pressured. Is Juicy. Josh though, oh, he's gonna hit that shot. He allows his player to rotate into Juicy. They both collide each other. 5 seconds left from that Yellow Stairs position. The rotation comes at the perfect time. And the round win for Roflcopter as they take the lead here on Consulate.
You could see that Roffle late in that round a little bit uncomfortable without having that breach open. The Knights had some really good strongholds that they played into to close out that round, but unfortunately, like we often see here, with a 2-man advantage, very difficult for the Knights to hold on. They did a really great effort. Their tactical, I guess, mindset to be prepared for this exact push that came through. It was really, really strong, but they just didn't have the manpower to back it up. So great work by Roffle. Again, some are going to say a little bit messy there at the end, but they played it exactly the way they needed to, which was lean into their manpower, trade out picks. They win it out in the end, and I'm probably just going to double down on my statement earlier. They're looking more comfortable than they did on Coastline. Now, that may not be good enough to convert this. We don't know exactly what the Knights have in store on their attack, but maybe this won't be the clear-cut 2-0 that many of us thought.
3 of the last 4 rounds now to Roflcopter here on their attack for Consulate. This is the map pick of Knights, who also won 2 of the first 3 rounds. So this has definitely been a stark turnaround in favor of Roflcopter. So far for OCN, 52.5% attacking win rate. So if you are going to give a slight edge, technically for this stage, it would be the attackers. But that's skewed referencing. It's only 5 maps. And certain games and certain teams, of course, do play out very differently. I mean, that could include things like a 7-1 smashing where a team's on the attack. It's hard to really look too much into that. There's just not enough games. The sample size is too small. But I think, close to that, basically 50-50 mark is really the way you want to look at this. And right now for Roflcopter, they have an opportunity here to go up 4-2 in the first half and keep this best-of-3 series alive.
Hayward aggressing near Visa, but rotates down towards Lockers. I'm sure that the Knights are going to be conscious of the fact that they are finding this opening pick very difficult, and the opening engagement's often not going their way, which, again, Roffle are playing really well into. Minute into this round, however, and not much action going down so far. Roffle gained control of admin uncontested and bounce, and in fact, it's at the bottom of the main stairs. No one from the Knights has shut this down. He could walk straight into sight here and cut off the Knights as they fall back.
It is imperative that Knights find the opening pick. They need it. So far, all 5 rounds, the opening pick has gone on to win the round. It has been flawless. In fact, you can even include the last 4 from Coastline. Dino does get that opening pick, but it is immediately traded. Sage, though, restores the lead. Campo, how are you not dead? And the reprieve from Hotshot. gives him a lifeline. 3 versus 3. Roflcopter, how are they still in this round?
Benson still has map control. Josh, if he drops, will die. Needs to be careful and try and play up above. That's exactly what his teammate in Sage is doing over towards the meeting hatch. So despite having control in sight, Rofl are still not secure with this round. Still tough to try and get this diffuser down. Every single plant spot is exposed to vertical angles, making life difficult and likely forcing Rofl to go above.
Yeah, Knight's trying to see if they can find anything here. Any bit of information, they will find it through Sage. That should probably end up being the round. They've even got the information down below onto Bouncing's position in ante. 30 seconds left. I think Knight should be able to wrap this one up, barring a monumental choke.
So many angles held here. Bouncing does recover the diffuser, swings inside of anti-chamber. If he finds this pick on the hatch, it could make things interesting, but
don't peek
Sage not wanting to peek. 15 seconds left, Bouncing fakes the plant.
15 seconds remaining.
And it's getting to that point now where you're not going to have time to fake it. You're going to have to stick it. Oh, big fight against Josh. Now he will stick it. Dino, Sage, it's go time. Now you've got to stop this from going down. Nice pick up onto Campo. Bouncing got off it. Now he's got no choice but to stick it. Dino waits and he knows he should be able to find an easy kill at some point unless he takes too long. Bouncing. We know in this situation he's capable. Dino has to get on it immediately. Bouncing, by the time you get up there, it's going to be too little too late. 2 seconds left in the round. Bouncing is not going to be aware. Pros don't fake. Dino holds it the whole way. A 3-3 half.
Welcome back, folks, from the halftime break. This, of course, is the Oceanic Nationals presented by Samsung. 3-3 the score line between those two, and what a close conclusion to the round it was. Bouncing able to stick that plant, and then in return, Dino sticks the counter defuse. It was a matter of seconds between either team being able to claim that round, and sets us up for an exciting second half.
Yeah, it really does, and I think it goes along with the trope that I've been pushing here, 50-50 kind of map, 50-50 kind of first half. And we saw Knights get out to a good start. They won 2 of the opening 3, and then of course Roflcopter, they won 2 in a row. He got out to a 3-2 lead. They had the opportunity to go up 4-2, but Knights bite back, which is a good sign for the Knights. They haven't been able to win 2 rounds in a row so far here on Consulate. Now they go over to the attack though. Roflcopter will set up defensively down below. Garage defense here in the 7th round. Of course, Knights already up 1-0 in the series. Roflcopter need to win Consulate here, or their playoff time comes to an end early.
Well, this isn't something you see every day in the current meta. Ash inside of the server. Typically Zofia fulfills that role, or maybe even Yana. Josh is still sticking to Sophia, however, and an indication that the Knights believe these breaching charges from the Ash will be better suited at clearing those Electro Claws. In fact, they're right. Sage can go across to the Garage Triple and begin to open the wall. The juggle here from OJ is going to be way too late. And
not even
fortunately
close.
For the defense, that's something that Rofl will need to monitor for the remaining 2 minutes.
Yeah, nice early open here for the Knights. And as you said, 2 minutes on the clock. This is going to give the Knights plenty of time to work above. And I would imagine basically the next minute's going to be pretty quiet. Roflcopter just have to hope Knights make a mistake at some point, but eventually they'll clear out a lot of the utility, throw out those smokes, go for the plant. If they stick it, they win the round. If they don't stick it, they lose the round. And that's going to be Consulate Garage in a nutshell.
Juicy trying to get that angle inside of Bathroom, but it is a very fine angle, and of course is blocked off. He was shooting the outline, but I believe it's the little toilet stall door thingy-mabobby blocking that angle. Juicy trying to clear pipes, but it's a deployable shield clearing that position. or covering rather. Rotero drones now being activated
Rotero.
by Dino.
Rotero. Let's go, Rotero.
I don't even know.
He shot it. He went for the double. He got greedy.
He did.
He went to try and get both deployable shields, I think. And they've also just lost 2 players.
Sage.
Make that 3. What is going on this round for the Knights? What is going on? What is going on, guys? Please tell me what is going on.
I wish I could tell you. It's a flawless round there for Ruffle to close things out. The Knights trying to send it deep, and they just absolutely
Hang on, at
do
DevMarder, what
a terrible
is
job.
going on? What a round. I mean, we go back to the start of that round, you open the garage door up, things look pretty standard, you clear out your utility, and then suddenly five Knights are dead.
Yeah, that was quite peculiar, and it has been a bit of an interesting matchup. Now, I just want to go back to the previous round. So this was round 6 before the end of the half. We're just going through a replay now of the previous round, and you can see Bouncing trying to retake above, and there was a small window of opportunity he could have denied that plant, but he got stuck in a Banshee. Of all the pieces of utility that could have potentially cost them that round, again, would have been super, super close. It was a Banshee. Despite them at the moment being pretty terrible, they can be shot. But in that small niche circumstance, maybe turn the tide there in that round. So a bit of a throwback there to round number 6. But again, as a whole, this matchup has been pretty peculiar in some of these rounds.
Do you have any big brain analysis for that last round that we just saw? Because that was really good analysis with the Banshee.
I think I need another replay prompt because I didn't even. It was one of those rounds you looked out for a second, you missed 5 kills, it's over. So I did see obviously Dino trying to clear the double shield there with the Roteros, as you said, probably getting a little bit too greedy there, and really good job by Ruffle. I believe it was Campo over towards security hallway, denying those and shooting them before they could lock in place and be detonated. And then the Knights went, lads, let's send it. And clearly, that did not work. So good job from Ruffle.
And it gives Roflcopter the momentary lead in this match again. 4-3 now, the scoreline. And it also denies Knights from sort of taking the lead again after a very good start to this map. The Knights still have not been able to win 2 in a row either here on Consulate, and that is a little concerning going into the 8th round. That yes, it's been back and forth, but the only team that has been able to win 2 in a row has been Roflcopter. That's why they hold their lead.
Aggressive from Campo here inside of meeting. He's doing his very best to try and hold back, push from the balcony as the rest of the attack begins to squeeze out Visa. Bouncing. His job is to apply pressure from down below, but he is getting lit up, and talk about getting lit up. Campo cops 1 to the head, but Bouncing returns fire there onto Sage. Leaves it in a 4 versus 4. The Knights still looking to ascertain control above.
Yeah, and that's the difference right now, is that Bouncing's just on another level at the moment here on Consulate. 11-4-3. No one from Knights really able to sort of go with him at the moment. Sage, who went off on Coastline, only 4-7. Hayward 1-6. Juicy 1-5. It's really only Josh who's providing much firepower here for the Knights on Consulate. Especially going into the second half now on your attack. The fact that the team's kind of struggling to find these kills and to also find some opening picks. I mean, it's been mostly Roflcopter here on Consulate. Waiting with the cheeky rotate to get back down on the first floor. Minute left in the round though. Roflcopter, they're well positioned and well primed to maybe take this 8th round.
Has been a little bit of a disappointing map for Hayward, one of the top performing players in Stage 1 of OCN, and overall a little bit quieter here in Stage 2, but again, difficult to know exactly what his role here is in this matchup, so I don't want to throw too much shade as OJ gets a lit up behind this mirror window. If the Knights can get this pick, they might be able to get the plant down.
I think he got lit up underneath the window. Josh with a headshot onto Hotshot.
Oh,
They're still got to deal though with these players. Boydie with a big Nitrocell. Takes out Dino. Still 3-man advantage though for the Knights as they're up 3-2. OJ, he also goes for the Nitrocell. Does it go bang? No. but it just stops Juicy. Now he's going to be stalled out. Boydie, this is such a big play from outside. He's going to be able to deny this, though. He got shot! What a save! Had he not been shot, he should have been able to deny the plant, right? I mean, that could have almost stalled it out.
You are right. If he shoots the plant, he denies the plant. Xenox, so...
Well, I mean, I'm thinking, obviously, how much time...
I think it was a 2v3, right? So the Knights should be covering that. By the amount of time he was outside, Bodhi would have been identified pretty early, so...
Ooh, still.
A little bit scary, nonetheless, but Knights doing a good job to just ensure they get the job done. Now, moving forward, this is the site that I was really interested to see be played out. Basement Archives, first floor tellers. It is the split site over towards the eastern side of the map. Now, without the pulse available, we anticipated that this site could be tricky to hold. Rofl, however, are backing themselves in, believing that they can get the job done. Maybe they won't be as heavily reliant on the information being readily available. That said, they are bringing 2 bulletproof cameras to try and compensate for that. So I would guess that the Knights are going to focus their efforts on making sure that if they have the opportunity, they'll clear out those bulletproof cameras, because if the defenders are down below blind trying to deny plan and with only one person having a nitro cell, that would probably be the most calculated play for the Knights is, again, clear those bulletproof cameras, try and go for that plant on the first floor, and denying that on the side of the defense could be really, really hard.
5 seconds left. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Well, it feels like a pivotal round here to go up 5-4, especially if it's the Knights who can regain the lead for the first time since the 3rd round here on Consulate. At the start, it was all Knights, and then Roflcopter have had their time in the midsection of this match, but maybe the Knights will finish it all off. Not just for this map, but even the best of 3 series. I think Hayward also found 2 kills in that round prior to get on the board a little bit. As it had been mentioned, a little bit of a struggle streak here on Consulate. Not just for Hayward, but for a couple.
Oh, those 2 ADS devices. Preventing Boydie, I was going to say from being naded out. He is eventually, but still survives. Boosted up on that cabinet, still with 75 HP remaining. Now he is running the shotgun out at the moment, I would assume, considering he has the pistol out currently. Yeah, he is, so... going to be tricky to clear. And the Knights now, they're so low on utility. They have no flashbangs. They have no grenades. So they will need to force a gunfight here onto Boydie, who arguably, with the tables turned, is in a fantastic position.
Hey, we're just taking a little bit of damage there. 1.5 remaining in the round. They still have not been able to, of course, deal with Boydie inside of admin. Bouncing gets the opening pick. Juicy's able to get one, though, onto OJ as well. Immediately makes it a 4 versus 4. Ping on for Campo to help him get this kill onto Juicy, and he is successful. It's going to be a man advantage once again established for Roflcopter, and once again, it is going to be traded. And now, this time, the Knights will take the advantage. They got 3-2 in the round in terms of players. Nitrocell from Hot Shot, unable to get the kill, but Campo does get 1 or 2. Hayward immediately, what is going on? The last 30 seconds, it's been a bloodbath. 2 versus 1, Campo low on health. Dino can get the plant down. It's been a messy round for Split Guz, but I think the Knights might be able to come away with the win.
Couple of options here for Campo. He can drop the hatch, but risk making noise. He could also go down the stairs, but that's going to be the longer route. With 30 HP remaining, either way, he's probably in a spot of bother here. Josh quite low, so maybe winnable, but Dino should be able to trade.
That's the information that they need as well. Oh,
there you
nice
go.
shot, but Dino, of course, the backup, that was there. And Knights go up 5-4 and edge a little bit closer to that match point.
Well traded out there at the end there by the Knights. They went what I thought was going to be the unfavored or unconventional route, considering the defensive setup, which was down below, late round through dungeon, garage, etc. through that security hallway, but they made it work. Hayward did a really good job there in shutting down Boydie. Seemingly he didn't have the intel there that he was being watched on that drop. And whilst it was a good effort there from Campo to try and clutch out, Dino ready and prepped to clutch it back. The Knights again. They found themselves to that 5th round first. They did it on coastline. They did eventually get themselves onto match point, and they were able to close it out. And so far, you know, we could find ourselves in a similar position where the Knights were able to close out the map in a 7-4 fashion, which would be very, very disappointing for Rofl. They were the team in stage 1 to make somewhat of a miracle run work for at least a few rounds in that gauntlet, but the Knights just proving why they are such a dominant force here in the Oceanic region, within APAC more generally as well so far in this matchup. They have not been doing anything too crazy. They have really just been playing solid Siege, playing off one another and playing confidently. It seems to be, I guess, the recipe for success.
And for the first time here on Consulate, Knights able to get 2 rounds in a row. And at the perfect time, now gives them the lead here in the 10th round. Up 5-4. And just started to find a little bit of that form. 3 of the last 4 rounds now to the Knights, which is not good news for Roflcopter, a team that's on the verge of elimination from the gauntlet.
And 8 of the 9 rounds played so far have gone to the team that has gotten the opening pick. And unfortunately for Rofl, despite bouncing getting that first one onto Sage last time on that split defense, they couldn't quite close out the round. So a damning statistic for Rofl, but still an opportunity to bring this back. So an interesting defensive setup here from Rofl. They've elected to leave that right-hand side of the garage from their perspective soft. Of course, the left-hand side for the attacking team. Would love to know the exact reasoning behind that decision, as Rofl have used all their reinforcements, so I guess they've reallocated that somewhere else. I'd hate to think that they've accidentally left it soft. Surely that just wouldn't be a thing. I mean, maybe in my gold ranked matches, but definitely not here in OCN. So wouldn't mind understanding as to exactly why that is the case, but most of the action so far taking place elsewhere, particularly above here, the extension from Rofl. Bounce in 12 and 6, aggressive in meeting, but Hayward drops off.
Second E1 to be deployed by Josh. 1.5 remaining. It's been a slower approach here in the 10th round. And as I say that, it's OJ who finds the pick immediately onto Juicy. Hot shot low, now dead.
Josh.
Courtesy of Josh, and Hayward too goes big. And the trades just quite literally ring out around the map. Now it's a 2 versus 3 in favor of the Knights. Bouncin also gets a kill. As we head over to Campo, he's pushing down yellow stairs, but I think this might be too little, too late, unless Bouncin can swing and get that kill. Unsuccessful. And with that plant down, it's going to make it almost impossible.
If Bouncin hits that, it may have been attainable, but it's going to be tough. Dino, though, lets that player swing.
Oh, no.
He can tuck inside the corner. Sage can't get the angle, but Dino finds the first. Campo needs to stick a bit. 2.5 left. He does fall off, but Dino able to clean up. A little bit too close for comfort there for the Knights. But, you know, they get the job done. They get match point.
Look at Dino, you could just see it as well. A sigh of relief and match point, both obtained for the Knights. Not only that, but it's also series point as well, Guz. 3 rounds in a row for the Knights. 4 of the last 5. And now in a position to send Roflcopter packing out of the playoffs.
2 rounds in a row as well. Rofl have gotten the opening pick, but unable to convert the round. And I guess a lot of that was off the back of the fact that the Knights played quite aggressively and unpredictably in the mid-round. We saw Josh just send it down security hallway, and sure, I think he only got 1 kill in that round, but it really did dislodge the defense. Rofl not in a position really to deny the plan, as defenders were still rotating back towards side. And again, a great effort to try and bring it back into post plan. And Dino was ultimately the player that nearly lost them the round, but then managed to win it back. Did leave things close for comfort, but again, the Knights, you don't expect them to lose from those positions. They've been taking their advantages and running with them in this best of 3, and with a 2-round buffer, that 2-0 victory to head them against Order just continues to look more and more likely.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Is this the moment where we see Roflcopter bid farewell to their OCN season here for stage 2. They had another impressive stage in the regular season. They won 4 games technically. 3 in regulation, 1 in overtime. Kind of matching a little bit of their stage 1 performance. Just unable though to get out of that 4-5 position and find themselves in a better spot up in the standings.
I'm really liking this use of the Ash here from the Knights. They're bringing in a once popular operator back into the meta to try and deny these electro claws, but OJ perfectly will juggle that first exothermic charge. Sage, no doubt, looks back in disappointment as he sees that precious wall still standing strong for the defense. Now, this may force the hand of Hayward to get more aggressive inside of Piano to try and deny these claws on an active basis, but Boydie, aware of that, will retake this position, making life a little bit more challenging alongside Boydie also denying that entry too.
Juicy's down, now out for the count. For the 3rd time in a row, or the 3rd round in a row, Roflcopter have been able to get the opening pick, but previous 2 rounds they were unable to convert though. So they need to sort of now buck that trend. And this time go on and win the round.
Oh, nice.
Sage going to stick this exothermic charge, and OJ not going to be able to deny it.
Unfortunate for OJ, good attempt, but it was ultimately always going to be tough. Now Dino again trying to clear that pipe shield, and much like last time, will fail. Boydie up above with a nice angle on the entry will mean that the Knights will struggle to get in towards the side. Boydie probably good for at least 1 or 2 kills from there. Josh, playing off his own drone for the back push, might be able to disrupt and dislodge this defense. I think the game plan for the Knights here is to just go bang and try and overwhelm the defense.
Here, 1D goes out, smokes as well, trying to take out Hotshot, and it looks as if going bang is going to work. 1-man advantage now for the Knights with 40 seconds left. Boydie, though, still in a very good position, although he has allowed 1 to get through. He does throw down a Nitro Cell, I think, and it doesn't quite connect. And I think he actually blew up most of himself. Does get the illumination onto Sage, though. That's diffuser down. Campo, big kill onto Josh as well. 2 versus 2, match point. That shield, though, proving to be quite valuable. Campo, I don't sense how he's going to be eliminated from here.
Rotero drone going to force him off this position, needs to try and do something in desperation, and he downs Hayward, leaving it in the 1v1.
And the push from Dino gets caught immediately by Campo. Well played. And we go to a 12th round here to see whether or not Roflcopter can extend their lifeline here in the OCN playoffs.
A cheeky last stand there from Ruffle, keep them in this matchup. Probably should have been traded. That shield probably should have been taken down by Dino. Again, just a couple of very small mistakes from the Knights proved costly, and finally Ruffle can capitalize upon that man advantage. That said, they didn't have the man advantage still again when it came down to that execute. So they're giving away picks here for free when they really need to be a little bit more cautious. And again, we love Ruffle for their aggressive playstyle, but it has not been working out for them with great success here on Consulate. That said, I guess we can't be too critical. They are 1 round away from heading this match to overtime and extending their life here in the gauntlet.
And who's to know what could happen on Chalet? Anything can happen. It's a fresh map. Get a fresh opportunity. Actually, I'm pretty sure even on the desk, the general consensus was Ruffle would win Coastline and then win Chalet. So, an opportunity here presents it for Ruffle if they can win this round, send it to OT. Keep this one alive. Knights, I think the biggest thing for them right now, guys, is they need to get better at finding these opening picks. That's 3 rounds in a row now that they've allowed Roflcopter to have this man advantage.
Yep, and the Knights have looked very, very comfortable when they have gotten that opening pick. So anticipate them to win the round, win the map, win the series if they do get this first kill, as the stats so far this head-to-head would suggest it is easier said than done. However, as Ruffle's aggressive and unpredictable playstyle here on the defense has worked well for them over the course of the last 3 rounds. That said, Juicy at least gets a foothold inside of admin. Sometimes we do see the defense contest that very, very aggressively and delay a lot of time, but Juicy getting in early here is really strong signs for the Knights.
Yeah, it's one thing to get in early though, but you need to eventually find that pick and
See you on the other side.
try and get that man advantage.
I'm reloading.
Campo still in sign of meeting. Dino though, of course, with a good sight line now. Campo can just drop at any moment if needed, but if he does get a little antsy and decides to swing that, he may lose it, and that could be a big loss for Rofl. So needs to probably play it very defensively.
The Knights trying to pinch out this position. Hayward elsewhere finds the first bounce, and he's good for 2. Josh and Juicy will fall. Dino as well. Where the hell is Bouncing? How is he finding these kills? He's inside of admin.
Wow.
He's just decided to straight up retake it, and the Knights caught off guard. Hayward and Sage. 4 players standing between them and overtime.
And Hayward goes down. Overtime is looming. Unless Sage has won for the ages, and he definitely won't now that his position has been uncovered. Well, actually, he should be able to get another kill here. Definitely whiffed it a little bit, but he's able to make up for it. Does he re-peek this hatch expecting someone to follow him? 45 seconds, 1 versus 2. And he repositions and rotates back upstairs into meeting.
If he gets this kill on meeting, it's on, but no. Bouncing swings a huge, huge round from the Alibi to keep Ruffle in this matchup. 6-6 the score. It's overtime, baby.
It certainly is our first overtime for the playoffs. I don't sense it will be our last either. Roflcopter still down 1-0. They need to convert here in OT. And I sense that this first round, the 13th round, guys, is going to be so important to get that overtime match point.
I would tend to agree. In terms of starting sides, Knights will be on the attack. Not really a favoured side, though, in this matchup so far. It's been a perfect 3-3 split for both attack and defense in the first and second half here. So very difficult, in fact, to split these 2 teams. The Knights taking this opportunity as the halves switch, or rather, we head into overtime as they actually are, in fact, starting on the, or remaining on the same side of the attack. Just to have a discussion, maybe discuss what went wrong on those last few attempts and how they can better their position. It looks like, I think Dino heading the discussions there, maybe Juicy as well. They seem to be the most vocal when we go to cams. I'd love to know what they're discussing. Maybe it's here's one or 2 things. What did they have for breakfast, or how are they going to win this game?
Well, here's the real take. If they are a team that wants to say, I don't want to say hide strats, but maybe not give away everything, it's better for them to maybe give up 1 or 2 rounds worth of strats and just avoid Chalet altogether. It's one less map that they've got to play, right? I mean, like, that's the whole idea, is to try and get through this without giving up too much. Well, if you go to a 3rd map, that's now 3 maps of information for maybe teams from Mexico to go back and look at. I mean, I'm probably reading a little bit into this, but I think nonetheless, guys, it is up for debate. Do you bring something out here in this overtime to get this finished and finalized, or do you risk going to Chalet?
I don't think I can really answer that question with too much authority, but if I was in the shoes of the Knights again, I would have headed in today with the expectation to play default strats and see what you can get done with previously established frameworks, as opposed to, I guess, reinventing the wheel here, as there's not really the incentive to. Boydie again going for this exact same spawn peak. In fact, in their Snowball interview released just before these playoffs kicked off, the Knights, and I quote, said, "We aren't really worried about anything specific, to be honest, at the moment. We're just focusing on ourselves." every team competing at Mexico will do their research, so worrying about letting too many strats loose isn't a concern for us.
Bomb located by attackers.
That's true. That's a good way to look at it.
Maybe the Knights really aren't that worried and might be willing to show a thing or two.
Yeah, and I think the other thing as well, and maybe without sounding too disrespectful, but a lot of the top teams are going to probably have that same sort of mindset where they're just going to focus on themselves. So they might look a little bit at some of the APAC teams, just because some of the APAC teams do some things, as Bouncing also does some things. Okay, that's just 2 very bloody quick kills. That is really not ideal for the Knights, and I'm just going to start with whatever I was going to talk about, because this round has started, guys, and it has not started well for the Knights.
19 and 8 for Bouncing, could be 20.
Wow.
Dino narrowly escapes that gunfight, but he is wounded. Blood on the floor here from the Flores. Hayward, though, tries to go down dungeon. He also will find himself lit up. What? Hayward, what is going on?
Am I watching Robert Monday or something?
Maybe.
Good shit. Good shot from Hayward. We get one. we get one. Good shot from Hayward.
You can blame Rob for that. He was in your ear, so. Wants as much airtime as possible. Loves himself a bit, that bloke. That's why he's a tier 3 host and you're tier 1. But focusing back on the action, 1 minute to go in this round. Oh, good play above there. OJ's Electroclaw has been taken down by Hayward on the vert. Will someone from the defense go up above to contest that? It doesn't seem like that will be the case, as a Rotero drone will pop open the back push. Ruffle with the man advantage. The Knights with their backs against the wall on this occasion. 2 players are critically low, making this tough.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Go, Rotero.
That could be a kill.
He's still got 2 more as well, by the way. He ain't done. Although time is of the essence, not too long to go in this round, so I'm not sure how much longer Dino can really sit on those Roteros. It's go time for Sage. He'll throw out these smokes. And it's really just a hope and a pray sort of moment. Campo, can he win this? No, from above. Hayward, very critical kill. 10 seconds left. Red time we go. Sage is now in through those gas babes. Now into his own smoke. 3 seconds on this diffuser. If he can stick it, they could win the round. He does get it down. Bouncer took a lot of damage over towards Yellow Stairs, but Hotshot pushes in, gets the kill onto Sage. Dino solo in 1 versus 3. Already one onto the diffuser. Good cover from OJ. Overtime match point for Roflcopter has been achieved.
Defender mission successful.
20 kills for Bouncin on this map. A big performance from him so far, and Roffle doing a great job to really wither that defense, putting themselves in a position to retake site despite that diffuser being stuck. For the first time, it has really felt in this series they are now a step ahead of their opponents. And we may well be going to this 3rd map.
And if we do, I wonder, the desk, do they flip-flop once again? Do they then go back over to the side of Roffle? I anticipate they will. I think that they will be on the Roffle bandwagon. Or the Roffle helicopter, I guess. We're not over with yet, though. The Knights go back to the defense here for the overtime match point of Roflcopter. This has been a very back-and-forth map, though. At one point, the Knights won 3 rounds in a row to establish themselves a little lead. And now 3 in a row from Roffle. I mean, it was a 6-4 lead to the Knights. They had 2 opportunities to close this out, failed both of them. And now overtime match point for Roflcopter. They have their own opportunity to close this out and head it to Chalet.
5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Roffle have 3 minutes now to work with to try and convert this round and head us over to Chalet. 25, you think, is the number? Is that Ox for the most kills on a map here in OS?
Yeah.
Is that number you're going with? Okay.
100%.
We'll run with that. So Bouncer will need to get an ace to equalize that number, or maybe get a few kills here and hope that his team loses the round so they can pile on more in the final. Has been a big performance from him so far, and he's been playing that wildly, then unfortunately a lot of those kills have been missed, which is obviously no fault of anyone. That's just Consulate in a nutshell, where he's been pulling off some pretty stupid plays. Once again finds himself in towers uncontested. Hayward doesn't see him enter or cross. And Campo's going to drone him out.
Such a big round for Roflcopter. There's no guarantee that they would be able to stop yet another Knights attack. Swing from Hayward though, and bounce, and that's a big player to eliminate. If you're going to be able to eliminate anyone, you probably at this point just take Bouncing, regardless of any hard breaches. Ooh, Boydie though, the kill onto Sage. Again, evens things up. And that's been a common trend in this entire series, guys. Both on Coastline and now Consulate. We're seeing these opening picks, and yeah, they're being converted, but we're also seeing the other team then get it back pretty quickly.
Still a strong presence up above here on the western side of the map for the Knights. Dino holding that entry in towards meeting from Bathroom. Josh aggressing inside of Console to also add an additional line of sight. Boydie though rotates over towards the CEO Repel, and thankfully that defender did in fact rotate, or Boydie would have netted himself a kill there onto Josh, who's definitely contemplating a drop as Boydie, wow, finds Juicy. A one-man advantage with a minute to go here for the attack.
Josh drops down, needed to land that headshot onto OJ. He had an opportunity, and now they get punished. I think it's time to get the snow boots on, Guz. Put the jacket on the coat. It's going to be a bit cold where we're heading, unless Josh goes big, gets Boydie off of the board. Hayward down in lobby, shots from below, unable to find the target, but through the hatch. Headshot onto Campo. Maybe take the snow boots off. We might not be heading to Chalet yet, or at all. Unless Hot Shot goes big in a 1 versus 2.
15 seconds remaining. Attackers have located a bomb.
No.
10 seconds to go.
No. No. No.
5 seconds
No.
left.
Still not. Still not. What a round. It's watching the whole time. No chance, really. And we go to a 15th round.
The conclusion of that round was, I think, a little bit closer than you expected, Zen, and honestly, I was in the same boat of it being unwinnable, but some huge picks. Hayward, in particular, he had 2 massive kills. Not only did he drop Bouncing off the board, but then he also hit that flick in the mid-round, and Josh as well, retaking up yellow. He had a big impact too.
5 seconds left.
Hot Shot with bearing 9. Oh, he was so close.
Was he though?
So close. If he had a pre-fired around the corner there into Josh, yes, maybe. But Josh was also in an off-better spot, so yeah.
I don't care about the if he had-ofs.
Defenders
He didn't, and we go to a
by
15th
attackers.
round.
Split will be the site. Ruffle now transitioning back across to the defense. How can they pull this off? No pulse on the board, banned out. Again, we're going to see 2 bulletproofs brought. I believe it's the same operator lineup we saw from their last attempt of lobby press, Tullah's Archives rather, double check.
Do you want a fun fact?
Yes, it is.
We've only seen Split
Almost.
once in this game, guys,
Yep.
and it was won by the Knights on the attack.
It was.
10 seconds left.
Very much was. We're going to see a slight change up. Legion brought this time by Ruffle in the capable hands of Bouncing. So additional utility with the Goo Mines, and he can probably get some work done as well with the primary. The Knights completely disregarded, I think, the philosophy of Ruffle's defense, which was to try and force them up above and deny, despite not having the pulse. And even... Actually, yeah. No, let me reframe that. The way Ruffle is setting up this side, I believe, is to try and force the Knights actually to try and go up above, take site. They know that there's no pulse on the board, it should be a free take. But last time, the Knights actually didn't do that. They went for the garage take across, and I thought that, you know, Ruffle would be in a great position to deny that. That wasn't really the case, and they were overwhelmed in the end. It was a little bit close. It did come down to the trade, but again, the Knights did such a good job early round to gain map control. That won't be the same approach we're seeing from them here, however. They do open that first initial hatch, but now they're taking
Ooh.
up above, and Josh gets the first.
In fairness, the last time they did win this, it was Bouncer who found the opening pick for Roffle. So this time around, Knights not even at a disadvantage. They have the advantage themselves. Of course, this is series point for the Knights and for RoflcopterGG. They need to win it to head it to Chalet. It's as simple as that. Bouncer taking a bit of damage on the Legion. If he dies, I think RoflcopterGG's hopes may die with him. Gemini goes in. He will eliminate that. Of course, can just drop down back into Archives at any moment and does so now. Minute 20 seconds on the clock.
Looking unlikely that Bounson will be able to eclipse that kill record, but
He could still get a 5k.
he could. I think more importantly though, Roffle just want this map win and head us to Chalet. Hayward sees a player, cooks a nade. That's Boydie in that Harry Potter position who will survive. The reinforcement protecting him from that shrapnel. This is a very, very risky approach here from the Knights. They are looking to just send it inside of Visa to try and get these picks back, but with above control, surely that won't be possible. But Josh goes big again. Campo eventually does find one back, but again, man advantage.
They
Knights,
lose
can they
the
get it done?
Sophia, but it's yeah. I mean, they've lost Hotshot now as well. Campo's already quite low. They start to drop down. They're going to get Archives control. Boyd is down here as well over towards server stairs. There's a ping. Default still up. Hayward takes out Campo. RoflcopterGG. Stage 2, maybe not quite as successful as stage 1, but it has still been a decent effort, a decent showing. But the Knights are just too good. They close it out in overtime, the 15th round to decide it, and they move forward. They will be taking on Order, and RoflcopterGG will be heading home.
The Knights, no doubt, seriously tested in that second map. But as you can see by the player camp, they are cool, calm, and collected. 8-7 victory to close out the series, and they'll head on to take on Order.
They certainly will, and right now, as things stands in the prediction battle, Xenox is first, 20-9. Everyone else is 10+ in losses, so that's all that really matters, let's be real. Can I just say as well, guys, that you can't beat me in these predictions.
Doesn't count.
It doesn't count? What do you mean it doesn't count?
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count when it doesn't suit, guys. But hey, look,
Yeah.
what a little series. Only the 2 maps felt like it went on a little bit longer than that. I guess going to the 15th round in Consulate says that. And man, Consulate itself, guys, was a wild ride, wasn't it? The first 3 rounds was 2-1 to Knights. Then Roffle won a couple in a row. Then Knights won a couple in a row. Then Roffle won a couple in a row. That was the hallmark of this entire series, really.
Yeah, well, we got arguably the 2 most chaotic maps in the pool played out, Coast and Consulate, so it lends into that being the produce of this matchup. But the Knights are just too good. I mean, there's a reason why they're in APAC South. There's a reason they're going to Mexico. I'll stand by what I've said throughout this matchup by saying that the Knights didn't have to particularly do anything wildly special here. Sure, they mixed things up here and there, but they showed that they were willing and able to adapt with what they brought to the table. They did it on multiple occasions, particularly on map 2 when they were being tested quite severely by Roffle, pushing them all the way to the very end, but they just seemed to make the better decision makings across the board. Even when Roffle had an advantage, the Knights could often adapt and bring themselves back into these rounds. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup against Order, who I think as well could bring that to the table.
I guess you could say Knights are 11, right? That the Knights are 11 because they're alive, I guess. Yeah, they move on. Roffle goes home, and we're going to go to the desk.
Do you know that guy, Dev? I sure as hell. Yeah, really good one. Good one, Xenox. You really got him. You know, we really got there. But I tell you what, Milo, what a performance from Bounson. I mean, would you say that he nearly single-handedly gave Roffle the opportunity there in the last couple of rounds of that second half?
Without a doubt, man. He was just pulling stuff out of his hat. Man was running out of the building, getting double picks, jumping in windows, just stealing shots. I don't know, man. He's on the droll. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, he's a bit cracked, isn't he? I guess that's something that we've come to expect. I mean, not just from Bouncing, but the Roflcopter squad is... They are quite hard to predict in some of the occasions. But I guess in that, Milo, it kind of becomes a little more predictable. Would you say that Knight started to maybe even play into Roflcopter toward the end, giving them that opportunity?
Yeah, I could tell they got a little bit complacent though with the picks, but they 180'd it immediately on the last round, they knew. And honestly, Roflcopter kind of played into that as well. Like they knew that they would stall out a little bit on the entry. They kind of played a little bit passive, but ultimately in the end, Knights were just able to find the openings and get those picks.
Now, I'm actually going to come back to you, Milo, on this one, because, you know, Guz was saying that Knights weren't particularly playing any kind of complicated siege. Would you agree with that?
I think Knights just played Consulate properly. I mean, they weren't bringing anything out of the ordinary, but like it wasn't like they were holding back at all. It looked like they were just doing it right, coming up with the right solutions, just looking for the opportunities that, you know, that Ruffle were really opening up. And I don't know, they played it well. Yeah,
and I guess in that, Dev, a 2-0, this is what everyone would have expected Knights to do, barring that final play day that I think may have burnt us a little bit.
Did the kill record? We've confirmed the kill record at the moment in OS. Rainbow Six for one map is still Ethan from back in Six Masters over a year ago now at 23. But he did tie with OCN 2021's kill record, which is Jigsaw from stage 1 against Chiefs. So, you know, 20 kills and a loss is still pretty admirable, I think. But, you know, at the end of the day, he did lose that 1v1 clutch where Dino kind of ninja diffused. And you know, if he had won that 1v1, then they would have won the match. So I guess sometimes it's not just about, you know, the pure numbers that you got on the scoreboard, but the impact of those plays as well. Of course, you can see he did get 3 multi-kills, so I'm definitely not discounting the fact that he was an impactful player.
Yeah, I think you might have cut out for a small second at the start of that, and I don't know how much the viewers missed, but I'm pretty sure you actually summed it back up toward the end there. You didn't drop out for us, we could still hear you, but the old producer kind of said, well, you know, Dev, shut up now. So
great.
Unfortunately, that's they've just missed the start of that, which, I mean, you could miss the whole thing, and did we really miss anything at the end of the day? You know, it's one of those kind of things.
I'll just leave if you want. Like,
no, please don't, please don't. I couldn't do this without you and Milo. This would just go terribly wrong. But Milo, I mean, is this positive signs for Knights moving forward in this gauntlet? Do we now see them back in the same light that we may have during the season?
I mean, yeah, they are just playing how they should. Yeah, just they are really cracking down on the solutions. Like, they see an opportunity, they see an opening, and they just full commit it.
Yeah.
They just hit it hard, and that's really what you have to do, just no hesitation.
Well, I guess I'll have no hesitation in bringing in the Don Dean Juicy. Bring him in, let's have a chat to him. It's great to see that wonderful smile again, Don. It's a pleasure to have you gracing our presence, my friend. And I want to get, you know, thoughts off the top here, mate. You know, by all means, Consulate looked a little bit closer than it should have been, but overall, you guys have got the job done. How are we feeling?
Yeah, feeling good after that couple of maps. I don't know, there's not a whole bunch to say after that. Consulate, like you said, a bit shaky, but, you know, scraped through. We just had to do what we did.
Yeah, Dev?
Yeah. Look, Juicy, I'm not going to lie. You know, we had some doubts in you guys after your match against Order at the end of OCN, but you really, really, you know, made us choke on our words there with your performance today, especially Coastline. Like, you know, I'll admit, like, I was backing Roflcopter into Coastline. You know, they had a good game at the end of their stage. You know, what happened? You know, you were firing all cylinders today?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, we just went back to, I think I heard you guys say it a couple of times during the break, that, like, just went back to simple siege, just, you know, took it step by step, not show anything too rowdy or anything like that, so just play our game today and see if they could get us over the line. But I don't know, it's really hard at the moment to be in two minds. It's still like, you know, if we do go to the major, or, you know, do you full commit to this as well? So it's just, that's what we're, you know, battling with at the moment, so we'll get through it.
Milo?
Well, I think the big question here right now is, what did Dino do to his beard? Like, what happened there?
I know, He always says that if he needs to shave, he goes and gets it done, and he'll never touch it again. But the other day, he attempted the shaving again, and he stuffed it up, so it all had to go again. So it's just a revolving door.
With that being said, as well, are we going to end up seeing you with a clean, fresh cut?
Nah, it'll be neatened up, but nothing. I'm not going to let it go again. Not that clean shave. Not a dino look.
That's a fair call, man. That's a fair call.
I always regret it every time, Don. I always regret every time I shave the beard. It's not a good feeling. You know that this nickname is sticking. It doesn't matter what you want. This is sticking forever now.
You're going to force it.
You are coming up. Oh, no. This is like forced love. It is just going to be thrown on top of you, regardless of what you want. Now, you are coming up against Order next, which, of course, has caused some questions. Juicy, can you put our minds to ease for this best of 3?
We're just going to, play like we have been today so far. We're going to go out there, try to play simple Siege, I suppose, or like just conventional Siege. And if we see something we want to do, we'll do it. But I don't think there'll be anything too special. Hopefully we can, get a dub with that, as we know that it works in previous matches.
Yep. All right, well, I'll let you have the floor here just in case we don't see you after the next best of 3. I'm sure we will, but just in case, anything you want to say?
It's the same as always. Thanks to casters, thanks to support staff, all that stuff. Without everybody, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing, so thank you to everyone.
Well, guess what? Without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. So I guess it's like a coexistence between us. Juicy, congratulations on the victory, and we'll see you in the next round.
Right, thank you. Bye.
There you have it. Dev, I think that is kind of what we expected coming into this interview. Stock standard, just doing what they need to do.
Yeah, no, I really respect Juicy, and I'm glad that we have a little bit of validation. I know Guz got a little bit of validation with Juicy saying, yeah, we were right, what we were saying is, correct. That, just simple, keep it standard, don't have to do anything too crazy. And I think that, something you were saying, particularly Coastline Milo, was it worked against Rofl, because Rofl are going to keep throwing bodies at you. You just play it simple, you just wait it out, and it's going to work. Don't know if that's going to work against Order. It does depend on whether Order's going to keep playing, or whether Order will play a bit more like Rofl, that aggro. But I think if Order has a read on Knights, they can definitely kind of outbrain them, while Knights is playing this more simple style of Siege.
Well, speaking of Order, of course, that is who Knights are coming up against. So let's have a look at the bracket so we can recap this one. Knights in the pocket 2-0. Many would have thought that coming into this had not have been for their final play day. I think that really did leave some questions. But this next matchup, it is the grudge match, if you would say so. And look, this always pulls out a close affair. What are we thinking heading into this, Milo? I mean, best of 3s are very, very different from what we're used to during the regular stage.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And we've got to hope that Order's done the homework, been watching the games and paying attention. But look, this could go either way. I'll be pretty honest. There's a lot of potential in Order. I know there's like some solid players and then some excellent fragging potential. Honestly, it might just come down to a slugfest.
Oh, a good old-fashioned slugfest. A bit of a barn burger. Actually,
yes.
You know what?
We're hungry, are we?
You know what? I could actually go a bit of a burger right now. I could definitely go a burger. But as we do put the buns on either side of this one, Dev, what are you thinking? Are you leaning in the Order camp or the Knights camp?
This is very tight. I mean, I feel like this game will deserve the full 3 maps. I know Knights are in form today, so I'm actually struggling to not back them in. I know Order have improved drastically, though, in the last month or so. Since they brought Nico, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows at first, but I think they're really starting to exceed what they peaked with Ippy Style and Joker, and I think that they're going to be a much more challenging opponent than the Knights have ever faced in their matches against Order before, and the best of 3 will punish the team that isn't as prepared.
Now, Milo, as we kind of, head into that next matchup and, of course, thinking about the implications of tomorrow's play day, surely fatigue would start to play a factor if Knights are able to pull this one out.
Maybe, although, we scrim maybe twice a day type thing. They might be able to pull through with it. They're either going to be red hot off the wheels and ready to fight for the next map, next day, or they're going to be burnt out. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess there's only one way to find out. And that's to go to a short break, and we'll have a bit of a change of staff around here, so make sure you kick back, relax. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Welcome to GTV ANZ, the gaming channel created by Ubisoft. Every Tuesday and Friday on YouTube, we'll be doing fast plays, game challenges, 1v1 face-offs, and so much more. You happy?
When did we get a dog?
It's a good question.